What's up, everybody? This is bballin. It's been a while, but I've been busy. I had finals, and then I come back home, and what can I do? I can just chill, hang out with friends. But unfortunately, some people have suffered from the lack of my presence. Namely, the person who's gonna be doing this video with me. Say what's up, man.
Yeah, you know what? 3 days without b-balling is like 3 days without rice for a Chinese person.
Oh my
It was
God,
tough.
you were about ready to kill yourself. I know how it
I
feels.
was. I know it was.
Alright, so what we're doing today, it's not a Dota video, but I'm gonna put out some more in the near future. But right now, we're gonna go into the unofficial DotaCommentaries.com 6.73 changelog analysis. And since this is most likely, in not so many words, the last major changelog for Dota 1. I think it's a good time to analyze every single detail, not just like the competitive details, because right now the only people who are playing competitive Dota 1 are the Chinese. So I think we're going to go through every single detail and then maybe look at how that'll affect the competitive scene and how that'll affect Dota 2 in the future. So, you ready?
Oh yeah, well, although like we might be able to see these changes in Dota 2 very soon. So
Yeah, hopefully.
that can be the, immediate change into competitive scene, but that's not guaranteed. So,
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Just a preface for this first part we're doing. Uh, Gonna look at a lot of buffs. So we're gonna look at all the heroes that are in Dota 1 who have been changed, and then we'll look at items, and then we'll talk about some of the competitive scene before we get into the new heroes, leaving the best part for last. So I hope you guys are all excited. Let's get into this. So our first hero is Alchemist. Chemical Rage base attack time reduced from 1.45 yada yada to 1.45, 1.3, 1.15. So at level 3, it gets at level 2 and 3, the overall base attack time gets reduced by 0.05 seconds. So it gives them, a bit more DPS in the late game because having that base attack time reduced is really helpful. And
Yeah, that number might not sound like a huge thing, but it really is because basic attack time gets amplified more and more as you go into late game. So if you get any attack speed item at all on Alchemist, that's going to be amplified. It's actually a really huge deal in terms of DPS increase,
yeah, and what
and
might
starting
actually
to see it.
be a more significant buff is the Goblin's Greed change from 18 to 26 bonus gold limit. That
Yep.
is insane.
I mean, my question is because right now the game it feels like it's going quicker and quicker, so this might be a way for Alchemist to get farmed up quicker. But the end of the day, he is still a melee hero, and I'm not sure whether these two buff. I mean, it's gonna make him stronger, but to get around that fact that he's melee and he has to get up close and personal to do actual damage.
Well, getting those items faster might make him become a fringe pick, but I don't see we'll see him as a stale pick anytime soon. So, since this is a long changelog, we're gonna go through some of these changes a bit faster. But Anti-Mage reverted the 6.72 base attack time improvement, and they revert it from 1.35 back to 1.45, and they reduced his overall armor by 1. So they nerfed his early game by reducing his armor, and they nerfed his late game by reducing his base attack time. Two very needed buffs or nerfs for Anti-Mage, and Anti-Mage in Dota 2 right now is really strong. And even SMM Anti-Mage had something ridiculous like an 80% win rate, although he was used by not the best teams. I mean, the Chinese didn't seem to have any trouble in dealing with Anti-Mage at all. But I think for a Dota 2 transfer, this might be a good buff, but Dota 2 fanatics might be like, is this enough? Anti-Mage? I don't like that guy. He is annoying as heck. So, what do you
I mean,
think?
I definitely think the hero himself has not received enough nerfs, but the metagame around him is changing. The items introduced is targeted towards him. Later on, when there's some item discussion, some item changes, deals with anti-mage fairly nicely. Of course, the biggest thing to me was the quicker time that you could buy orchids, the buff on Veil of Discord. So there's many ways you could deal with the hero. Yes, the hero himself has not get changed. You don't want to see a hero nerfed to oblivion and get wrecked. You kind of want to see a little bit more counterplay, and I think Icefrog is allowing more room for counterplay, and that's the big outcry in Dota 2 right now. Man, not enough things to counter anti-mage. I feel like there is enough things, and teams are just not looking enough. But again, the new items, some of the heroes that got buffed, they can be counters to anti-mage. So even though anti-mage did not directly receive a lot of nerfs, I think we have more ways to deal with them.
Right. And overall, all of these buffs definitely favor a quicker paced metagame, but we'll discuss that a little bit towards the end of this video. Right now, we're going to go to Axe, Total Biscuit's favorite hero. And Axe, you got
Yes, a
some
pub stomper of all time. Battle Hunger out of the jungle. This is legit stuff. I mean, there's a laundry list of buff on this guy, and I'm surprised if teams don't pick him up. I will be surprised if teams don't pick him up.
Battle Hunger does a ridiculous amount of damage, and you know when you're chasing heroes, what are they gonna do? They're gonna run away from creeps.
Right.
So it's gonna be should be fun. Axe is a very fun hero, and all of these buffs, they're all small buffs. They didn't really like buff Axe to the point of being overpowered, like some of the old patches where they sort of made other heroes ridiculously overpowered. These are all mini buffs, but I
I'm
think the
I'm
two
gonna
most important
disagree.
ones are the Battle Hunger 4% bonus movement speed for Axe per target effect, so you can cast out multiple heroes, and then you get you know more and more movement speed, and then the Culling Blade. If it kills a unit, you get a temporary movement speed bonus, 25% for 6 seconds. Those are very good, and that might be what melee heroes need. Get that extra bit of movement speed. So
I'm gonna disagree. You're gonna say these are small buffs. I'm gonna say it's huge buff because the weakness right now with Axe is that early game he doesn't do anything. He's rather a melee hero. He has to get into melee range to use that Berserker Claw call. But now with the movement speed bonus of Battle Hunger gives you actually skip Berserker Call or just keep it at really low levels and just use the movement speed and use him as a chaser. Blade Dagger doesn't have to be that stable kind of rushing item. You can pick it up later, maybe 30 to 40 minutes in the game. You can use that phase boot and chase like crazy. Like 4% increase on Battle Hunger. They're slowed by Battle Hunger. You have phase. If you kill anything with Culling Blade, your whole team is gonna be slaughters, literally, and you're gonna be chasing down here. Like this is a huge buff, and if teams don't pick him up, my mind will be blown. That's
you
where I'm
just
gonna
want to
end it.
see Battle Hunger Axes coming out of the jungle. But
It's
actually,
it's
they might not
legit.
even need to be in the jungle because his base HP regen
Exactly. Could
1.25
be
to
in lane.
2. So he's going to become, in terms of melee laners, he might become one of the better ones.
Yep.
Alright, Bane Elemental movement speed increased by 10 from 305
Ah,
to
that's not
315,
important.
and his base stats increased by 4 from 18, 18, 18 strength, intelligence, agility, respectively, to 22, 22, 22. I don't think Bane has several fatal flaws, and I don't think these buffs really serve to fix them either way. But he might become, once in a tournament pick or something like
Yep.
that, just because he's a little bit better early game.
Unless they make his nightmare like an AOE, we're not gonna see him. Like he
Or
lacks
yeah,
AOE, and that's it. So moving on.
Bloodseeker. Now this is interesting because this was already in Dota 2, as in the thirst no longer partially reveals invisible units below 40% health.
Right,
That was
and now
already in
they
Dota
say
2.
that below 20% health, it's gonna reveal Invis. So that because they right, I think the Dota 2 team they're like we don't know exactly what we want to do with these spells, and some people says well it should reveal because they always reveal. And then in Dota 2 says well that's kind of a little bit too OP, so they kind of went like halfway.
Right.
Um, so I
And
mean he's getting some buffs, and he's a ganker into a Radiance carrier, which I think that's cool, but I think one of the Bloodseeker's biggest weakness against competitive teams is that wards will always be up. People will have awareness, so they could TP out if necessary. And the Bloodseeker have most difficulty ganking to 2 or 3 people. In pubs, they are always separated, so you get free pickoffs. But in competitive games, I don't think that's gonna be. Um, I don't think it's gonna be effective. So these buffs, although it's great, doesn't really change how he's gonna be played. So he's still gonna own in pubs, and he's still not gonna be in competitive. That's how I see it.
right, and also one of the Bloodseeker's biggest weaknesses is that once you get to the late game, you're gonna pick up a BKB, and guess what? Your damage bonus that other carries get doesn't affect him at all. So those are Bloodseeker's major flaws. Of course, they give him some cute little rupture bonuses. It's very small, but they're usable.
Right.
So he's still a strong pub hero without the lack of words, like you already said. But these are in no way gonna skyrocket him into the competitive pool. Alright, next one is Bone Fletcher, aka Clinks Eastwood. Steering arrows no longer has a cooldown at level 1. That is actually pretty huge. I think the
And it's
cooldown was
okay.
2000.
Something like that, yeah.
Actually, if it was 0 at level 3 or level 2, then maybe it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal at all.
Yeah. They buffed his Windwalk movement speed for all levels, so 10, 20, 30, 40 to 11, 22, 33, 44%. He already had perma invis haste when he had that Windwalk on. So again, not a huge buff. And then increases overall attack bonus speed from 90 to 110%. Little buffs, but Clinkz a while ago when the Europeans were picking him was a fringe pick anyway. I mean, Navi used him sometimes, and then he got played for a little bit, but
You know what? It actually might work. We're getting small bonuses here for the hero himself, and again, Orchid is getting some big bonuses. It builds quicker. Used to that Bone Fletcher have to farm in length until a 20-minute Orchid. That's generally how when Dendi picked it up, and Dendi's a great farmer. So now we might see something like a 15-minute Orchids, and guess what? You supports out there, you dying to this hero. I can see it work, especially when the earlier levels of that Windwalk gets more bonus, so you could get away with, let's say, level 3 Windwalk instead of level 4 Windwalk maybe, and start ganking heroes. I can see it work, but again, it's one of those fringe picks because his biggest weakness is he doesn't scale into late game that well. He doesn't have HP. You have to get BKB on him, and even so, he can't really get lifesteal because of Searing Hero. Just a lot of fatal flaw with this hero that don't push him into the competitive scene. But I could see him work.
Alright, now we're gonna get into a hero who is actually picked in the competitive scene for Dota 1 at least, and he might become a reasonably powerful competitive pick to counter heroes such as Weaver in Dota 2. Gondar, the Bounty Hunter, increases level 1, or it is track bonus gold for all levels, rather, from
Hmm.
75, 150, 225 to 150 at level 1, 200 at level 2, 250 at level 3. This is huge.
That's a huge scaling bonus.
Yes, and keep in mind, oh, it's just for the Bounty Hunter, it's not for his allies.
Yep, just a bounty hunter. But I mean, that's
It's
still a true
still it's
gold.
still a
It's still
big
a true
increase in
gold. Yeah.
terms of gold.
I mean, that's more reason to play him as a ganker instead of a carry, which we saw YYF did in SMM really nicely, and we see him kind of getting a lot of ban every time teams play against YYF. Well, this is gonna make that more often. So whether teams could kind of learn how YYF plays a bounty hunter is the question. Whether they could incorporate it into strategy. Again, the weakness still stands. He's weak as heck. He doesn't have any AOE. He's single target. When teams stick together, when players stick together, his power decreased drastically, and that gold bonus is not gonna help. So, nah, I don't know. He's still gonna own pups though.
Yeah. Next one is Bristleback. Cast point reduced from zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.4. Attack point reduced and turn rate reduced. One of the problems when you play Bristleback in Dota 1 is that you have to stop to stack a goo, you have to stop to spray a close spray, and then
Hmm.
you turn around very slowly. And Bristleback's big deal is that you want to turn around as quick as possible so you take the damage on your ass, basically.
Right.
So all of
That's
these
what she said.
things, although they don't really, uh, more new players to Dota 2 or Dota 1 might say, what's the big deal about this? It's actually a pretty big deal for Bristleback as a hero because if you've played Bristleback at all, you've noticed these flaws.
Yeah, I guess. There's nothing much to say. It's just a good buff, I guess.
Yeah.
There's no nothing to flaw on. He's a decent hero. We see him in competitive time, once in a blue moon, but he works.
Alright, Centaur double edge cooldown decreased from 10 to 8. Not
Let's
really
move
much to
on.
talk about there, to be quite honest.
He's still
So,
not gonna get picked. He's still not
yeah,
getting
I
picked.
think we should go next.
Yeah.
Ion Shell or Darkseer, one of my other favorite heroes. Ion Shell duration increased from 15 to 20. AoE increased from 225 to 250. Cooldown increased from 7 to 10. Damage increased from 30, 45, 60, 75 to 30, 50, 70, 90. And wall of replica illusions are now semi-transparent to enemy players. Now, the wall of replica illusions only really factor in for when you get ags, so you don't really get confused for attacking ags targets or the opponent because you're not going to attack your own illusions anyway, or you have to, but you're not going to be confused, or you can't attack your own heroes anyway.
Right.
So, but overall, giving him Ion Shell some slight buffs and then increasing his cooldown, it'll make him a faster jungler. It might make him a more powerful chaser. Having more Ion Shell damage will definitely help, but I don't know if this will be really enough to get him back in the scene. Although I do like it quite a bit.
You know what? I'm gonna be completely honest here. I believe the Darkseer before the buff was very competitive
Yeah,
viable.
I think he was actually the
He's
most
already
underrated hero.
viable.
Like,
Um,
yeah,
with these buff, what that's actually going to make him do is when he's picked, he's going to scale into the mid game a little bit better. His damaging, I mean, it helps to have extra damage here and there. I think this buff is more directed towards trend changing because when a captain, if you're a captain here, you're saying, oh man, look at this huge list of buff. There's a lot of buffs here. Like I think it might. It's more of like a psychological thing. Wow, he's getting a lot of buff. Let's actually pick him and try him out. If teams are having success with it, then people will start picking it up. And again, I already believe right now Darkseer is a very viable hero even before the buff. Same thing with Invoker before he got his stats buff by leveling up Orb. He was already a very viable hero, and that stat thing kind of just pushed it over the edge. So that might be an effect that we're gonna see from teams. He's already a very strong hero, and I think he will see more play in the competitive scene.
Yeah, I mean, he was again once one of those once in a blue moon picks. Hopefully, he might become, maybe not a stale pick, but again, maybe a fringe pick, somebody that shows every 2 out of 5 games. Because I definitely think Darkseer makes for very exciting games. Provides, really exciting escapes, can chase for eternity, and then just provides so much havoc. He's a fun hero to watch, and I definitely think back in his old version, or back in right before these buffs happened, he was probably the most underrated hero, just in my opinion. Of course,
He
I'm a
still is.
scrub.
He still is, I think.
The most
Especially
underrated hero?
that is actually competitive viable. Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so. He fits this version so well. This version, in my later commentaries, been saying such a chase-based version. We see heroes such as Slardar getting more play. We see Mass Django plays, and that hero says, "Well, I have a surge. A perma haste on one hero has ridiculously low cooldown, and I just don't know why that hero's not getting picked. It's just so good."
Yeah, so hopefully, personally being a fan of Darkseer, hopefully we'll get to see him more. Alright, next one is Dirge, aka Undying. Flesh Golem cooldown in decrease from 90 to 75. DK cooldown decrease from 11,975 to 10,864. Very minor
Yeah. No,
buffs.
not big enough to make any
Yeah,
big
I mean,
difference.
he was again one of those once in a blue moon picks. He might be viable in Dota 2 because, getting a lot of zombies or broodmother spiderlings or something like that, but he's not in Dota 2 right now, so we can't really tell how this will impact the scene so far. But again, he might still hold his place as once a very rare pick in Dota 1. But
Yep.
yeah, so Doombringer Scorcher duration increased from 8, 10, 12, 14 to 10, 12, 14, 16.
Not going to be enough,
Nope.
especially when so many slaughter are running around. Medallion Kurt's easy to do, to counter. I have no idea what this buff is about. If you want to bring him back, you gotta give him some armor.
Yeah, I was just about to say his armor is really hurting him in the landing phase. Dragon Knight, a hero that the Chinese have made extremely popular at SMM and that the Filipinos made popular before that, they increase his Dragon Tail's cast range from 150 to 400. This is significant in
This is
Dragon form.
legit. Like, you know what? It made no sense. How? Because I always thought, like, you're a freaking dragon. Your tail is now longer. Why the hell do you still have, like, a
Yeah,
melee? Well, now it makes
your
sense.
tail is almost as long as your body.
Right. So now it makes sense. So, I mean, actually, you might think, oh, it doesn't make that much of a difference. You have Frost attack at level 16 anyways. Well, that's level 16. What if you're level 6 and trying to set up a gank and you need a stun? Well, now it's legit. So, I like it.
Yeah, and 400 can't be underestimated. That's Vengeful Spirit attack range right there.
Yep.
Or is
Oh,
that
it's a hell
450?
lot better than melee stun range for Dragon Tail. So, I think we all rejoicing as DK fans.
For real. Jaw Ranger base agility increased by 4. Meh.
Yeah.
Meh. Enough said. Still fringe pick in Dota 2. Uh, won't really see her back in Dota 1 anytime soon, even with this buff. But,
Actually, she is picked somewhat regularly as a counter to anti-mage using that silence.
only in Dota 2. I've
Only in
never
Dota
seen her in
2.
Dota 1
Right.
at all in
Um,
the past, 2 months.
Drow Ranger is used as kind of like a mid-game timing push kind of hero. That might help, but it's not big enough to really make a big difference.
Definitely. I don't think this buff is really
No, it's not.
noteworthy at all.
No, it's not.
Enchantress movement speed increased from 305 to 310, so speed up her ganking. Maybe make her a little bit more popular for double jungle strats, but it's useful. Become more gank oriented. So I don't know if this will really get her back into the scene, but still a decent hero. I
Yeah.
mean, she was already a decent hero. I don't know if she needed many more buffs, but it's a change.
Nothing to say. Move
Nothing
on.
to say. Eridar, this is a huge change. Now you won't be so mind effed in Dota 1 games when Eridar and Lycanthrope are on the same team because they changed him from a Lycanthrope model to a blue Lycanthrope model. Oh man.
Nice.
Yo.
Now, okay, great.
Now the
I still
Lycanthrope.
like, I still like the no a little bit better.
Alright, Furion, Wrath of Nature cooldown rescale from 90 60 60 to 90 75 60.
I had no idea why it was 90 60 60 before. It made no sense. But sure. I
Yeah,
don't think this actually fixes the issue where why Furion's so OP, which is really coming from the fact that he has teleport. But hey, a nerf is a nerf, so
yeah, maybe you guys can push harder when he's at level 11 before he hits a higher level. That's basically
like it
all it comes
matters.
down
It
to.
matters, right? Yeah.
Yo, those 15 seconds, man, they matter. Gyrocopter armor increased by 2. For a long range gyro, it's pretty good. But it doesn't really fix Gyro's overall problem. Although he's still a fun hero, and he's
You know
gonna be
what?
a strong pub kick, pub
It's
pick.
gonna make some difference in his play because especially Rocket Barrage, you literally have to hold hands with the enemy to actually cast it. You know, the creep is gonna be doing a little bit of attacks. Let's move on. It's not gonna.
Jakiro Ice Path cooldown decreased from 16, 15, 14, 13 to 12, 11, 10, 9. So pretty big buff, 4 seconds all around, and macro period duration increased from 5 to 7. Not really a huge buff because you can just run outside the macro pyre anyway. But having an ice path, having an AoE stun cooldown increased or decreased is always a pretty good deal. So I actually think this is a pretty good change.
I feel like they keep trying to buff up his spell, but I think that the problem with this is range. The range of his spells, dual breath, not exactly too long. The range of his attack range is not that long. This is a very Chinese hero, if you know what I'm saying. So I think buffing the spell is great, but will that bring him to competitive scene? He does have what it going for him is he's really tanky. But I don't know. Is that enough? I don't think it is, to be honest here. It's good. It's cool.
Yeah, you might see him more, I think,
Yeah.
because 4 seconds for an AoE stun cannot be underestimated, I think. Maybe
Right.
I'm just, being a scrub, but I think it's a pretty good buff. I mean, you won't see him, replacing CM Revenge anytime soon, but maybe, once in a while, you might see him a little bit more often. Alright, next one, it's a Juggernaut bitch. Omni slash Ram damage improved from 150 to 250 to 175 to 250. Basically, an pretty much an unnoticeable buff right there. Omni slash hit count increased from 358 to 369, and they buffed his Aghanim slash damage. Of course, this doesn't really help anyway.
Actually, no, to be completely honest, since I mean, it's a small damage increase basically, for each slash, and since you're doing more slashes in general, it might actually add up to 100 to maybe even 200 extra damage. That could make a difference. Um, it might make him a little bit more effective mid-game teamfight hero, like a
I
ganker.
don't think it'll be enough to get him back in the
Right,
competitive scene.
exactly. That's what I'm like. He still has his issues. He can't carry.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. Let's move on.
Keeper of the Light Blinding Light cooldown decreased from 20 to 20, 16, 12. Recall cooldown decreased from 40 to 15.
Yes, this is a buff he needs because sometimes you're like, man, I die, buy back, let's go, and someone else, I die, buy back, let's go, and you're like, oh wait, I can only do it once. But now Keeper can actually be more. He's a very very strong mid game hero as support goes. He doesn't have any stuns, doesn't have any slows, but really ridiculous ultimate, blinding light recall, and I'm glad to see that buff. Was that enough to bring him back in the game? It might be because Chakra is a very very strong spell and he's really tied down by lack of stuns. But this might just be enough to kind of push him over the edge, make him a fringe pick, alongside things like Storm Spirit or really mono-intensive hero. Maybe keep Phantom Lancer if he's introduced in Dota 2. If these two heroes are introduced in Dota 2, I think it's good buffs.
I think that recall buff is actually huge for the Dota 2 metagame because, as all these buffs are evidencing, Icefrog wants to make game faster. So increasing, that global teleport cooldown if you are going for push strats will definitely help. Of course, it can, add a bit more strength to turtling because it can save an ally out of danger. But I think it's really useful for pushing strategies. So I think it's actually a pretty good buff, and you might actually see him a bit more once he gets introduced in Dota 2. So I'm
Yep,
actually liking this buff quite a bit.
me too.
Alright, Kunkka strength growth increased from 2.7 to 3.0. Rum duration increased from 567 to 8 static for all the levels of his ultimate. Tidebringer Cleave AoE improved to 500 at all levels instead of 500 at just level 4. Torrent Slow increased from 30% at all levels to 35%, and X marks the spot cooldown decreased from 30 to 20 seconds. Overall, buffs all around for Kunkka. Very needed buffs, I might say. But I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know. I mean, you don't see him in Dota
I
1
feel I
ever.
feel like this is one of those things. Like I said, the same with the Darkseer. Like it's a trend kind of buff. It makes a hero stronger by by all means, especially a Tidebringer AoE increase in early levels. That makes slinging such a difficult and annoying thing to go against. But I feel like this is one of those things that says to captains, "Hey, there's 5 lines of buff here, pick me." And then
Yeah,
if teams, well,
I wouldn't be surprised seeing that rum duration effect increased to be a bit more popular and combined with healing strats because having that reduced damage for 8 seconds rather than 5, 6, 7, and then the chasing buff from 30
yep.
to 20 seconds. All these little factors, like you said, might add up for captains.
And again, this is one of those anti-mage counters for y'all. Y'all thinks anti-mage is invincible. Well, this is X marks the spot is a great way to deal with them. So hey, you know.
Yeah. At Krobos, Witchcraft movement speed increased from 36912 to 481216. Already a fringe pick in Dota 1. Not really seen so much in Dota 2. I
Mm,
don't play this hero very much, so I can't really say how it affects it. Of course, I don't go phase boots ever, but I know some Kroboses go phase boots. So, this might open up the opportunity for more varied item choices for Krob, having that extra bit of move speed. But I'm not too sure how this will really affect her in terms of the competitive scene.
it's not bad, especially with the buff that Eel Scepter just got for another 5 extra movement speed. It could work, but it really no one's gonna see. Oh, Witchcraft got a bonus. Let's pick her. We're gonna look at things like exorcism damage, whether it fits up the lineup. She does have a silence, so again, all these heroes with silence getting buffed. So
So yeah, even though Anti-Mage wasn't nerfed as hard as other people might want, all these heroes and all these silences being buffed definitely can introduce more variety into the metagame and help
yep.
shut down Anti-Mage. So yeah, Lanaya refraction instances increased from 2345 to 3456. Already a fringe pick when other teams don't have DOT. This doesn't really change anything in Dota
Not
1.
at all. No.
Yeah, and I don't really know how she'll fare in Dota 2. It's too early to tell because she's not in the game. Skelly King lyric. You can already hear the excitement in my voice.
GG.
Reincarnation slow duration increased from 3 to 4 seconds, and reincarnation cooldown decreased from 300, 220, 140 to 260, 160, 60. Are you balling?
This is OP stuff.
This is balling out of
Literally OP
control.
stuff. You
Don't
can
even need to
use
get a refresher
reincarnation
anymore.
twice in a team fight. Can you imagine that? You can use reincarnation twice in a team fight. This is legit stuff. Of course, anti-mage rapes him. So go next.
No, all these damage counters. But dude, he is going to become a nightmare in pubs. He never will die. 60
Actually,
seconds?
yeah, seriously, in competitive team fights, especially when you're on the defense, if you have a Chen on your team, you go in charging, you take some stuns, and then you come back alive. You get shot back to a fountain by a holy persuasion. You ride back in a team fight, and you know how these team fights last. There's some some AO spell toss around,
And
people
then
run
you wait
back
for
and
the
forth. Hey,
buybacks before you decide to
reincarnation,
push
back
in.
up. So
Yeah.
just stuff.
And, he synergizes well with Chen and Enchantress because Lifesteal Aura for those creeps, so I'm
There
really
you go.
excited for this buff. Of course, I'm going to be more excited for the fact that I'll never die in pubs.
As much.
Yeah, as much. Leshrac movement speed increased from 310 to 315. Pulse Nova AoE increased from 400 to 450. I don't think this changes anything.
Nope.
Alright,
Still weak as heck.
yeah, go next.
Hmm.
Lina Inverse base intelligence increased by 3. Dragon Slave travel distance increased by 100. Dragon Slave final AoE increased from 125 to 150. I don't think this changes anything again.
Well, I mean, she's a decent like I feel like she's a competitive viable hero as a secondary support. She needs a lead up stun, but some of these heroes are getting buff have lead up stun, such as Yorick, such as Sven, and she could work. I feel like she's always a good hero. She's overshadowed. Like if you want a better burst hero, you pick Lion, for example, for the Hex. If you want a better dual nuker, sometimes you want to go with Ogre Magi. She has her place in Dota. I don't think this buff will change anything for her being picked more, but she is in Dota too. Let's see if it's actually gonna make anything happen.
Lion Mana Drain level 4 increased from
Oh, here we
100 to
go.
120 per second. The infamous Mana Drain Lion laning build. It's even more imbalanced than usual. Mana
Yep.
Drain now drains at 0.25 second intervals instead of 1 second. A
I'm
buff to
actually I might actually think about taking this to level 2. If especially I'm soloing, I might, but
Eh.
yeah, no, not really.
In dual lanes, that's another story. It's
Yeah,
fucking
this is
broken.
max that shit by 7, yo.
uh, Lord of Avernus, Aphotic Shield will explode at the end of its duration if it hasn't taken sufficient damage. Aphotic Shield cooldown decrease from 18, 15, 12, 9 to 14, 12, 10, 8. Aphotic Shield cast range increase from 450 to 500. I think the first buff, the explosion at the end of duration if it hasn't taken sufficient damage, is pretty significant because a lot of the times, if you just run away from Avernus and he's not near a tower, you can just sort of weigh out the shield. But now
Mhm.
it's going to explode no matter what. So I think it's a pretty big deal.
I mean, it makes him a better chaser, but to be completely honest, I think if you want a chasing hero, Lord of Avernus is not on the top of your list. I mean, he helps. I think the biggest weakness of this hero is his shield is too short of a cast range, and they remedy it by 50 range. But again, you still kind of have to hold hands with your friends to do it. He's a tanky hero if they attack him, but unless you get mega farm on this hero, why would anyone attack Lord of Avernus? Um, he has his place in Dota, but I think he's overwhelmingly overshadowed by many others. So I'm not too sure whether he's gonna see more play because of this.
Yeah, I don't think this is significant in terms of compensing, but in terms of pubs, it might be pretty
Pretty
big.
big stuff, yeah. Well, I mean, anything is big in pub, so
Yo, man, pub metagame is it's a big deal.
right,
Alright, Luna base damage increased by 5. Not in Dota 2. Not really going to help her in Dota 1 at all. Go next.
right.
Magnetar, skewer cooldown decreased from 35 to 30. And power duration increased from 30 to 40. So can he now cast it on 3 heroes? I think that's
Uh,
what it comes down to.
I think so.
Because I think
If
it has a
Matt,
14-second cooldown. So I think he can cast it on 3 heroes now. But I mean,
that's actually legit. Well, I mean, even if you don't want the cleave, it's still a really good buff. I think that's it. If you can buff it on 3 hero, that's actually legit.
right. But of course, your BKB carry will have BKB or something like that. But it's a good
I
damage
mean,
bonus. Oh,
even if you cast it on a hero like Crystal Maiden, it's still free damage for the team. Like, so it's not bad at all.
right. So I think we'll have to
Again,
wait and see.
this is a hero that got played. We've seen the EMC play this hero a couple times. Um,
Now known as Infused. Shout out to
now
EMC.
knowing, yep. So I mean, it's more reason to pick up this hero. I believe this is a great hero. His ultimate goes through BKB. It's a long stun. It really sets up other AOE spells. I think he has a lot of potential.
Right, but
Laning is not that big of a deal for him since a lot of arcane boots now are running around. Since you could solo mid with Shockwave, it's okay. We
right.
could fit him in the competitive scene, to be honest.
I guess I'm not too sure at this point how big it will be. But from 2 to 3 heroes, that's actually pretty good.
Yep.
Because he always, Magnetar always casts it on himself. Because he's the Blink Dagger Initiator. So you can cast it on 2 more of your allies.
There
Alright,
you go.
go next. Medusa, toggle cooldown on Mana Shield removed, if necessary. Stone Gaze rebalanced.
Skull case rebalance
I'm
into
not going to explain all of it.
imbalance.
I'll just leave the thing here. But what do you think about this?
Basically how the changes you could for a span of 5 seconds, think of like Naga Siren Ultimate. For a span of 5 seconds, at any point you look at her, you're getting slow. This is legit stuff, especially with the changes to Lincoln Sphere now would make it a little bit better item, which is a stable item on Dusa. You could use this. You could use this offensively, especially when we're talking about all these heroes getting buffs. Keep in mind, Stone Gaze will debuff them. Django gets debuffed. You are literally slowed. A lot of times you don't want to use Stone Gaze offensively, but that's what it turns into. You can use it offensively. The cooldown got decreased. In Medusa still as a hero is very slowed as a build up. I don't think she'll be brought into the competitive scene, but as a right now, if I'm thinking about pub, I'll blink dagger in and stone gaze instead of team fights. It's actually really fun.
Yeah, I think I honestly don't have anything to say on the matter, but
Okay,
I think you covered it quite well.
right.
Too many words, my brain just gets kind of confused. But you're here to back me up. Meepo, poof damage rescaled from 50, 80, 110, 140 to 80, 100, 120, 140. Overall increases his early game poof damage. It's pretty good. When you hit level 6, you have a couple points in net, you have a couple points into poof. You probably have 1 point into Geostrike. So, for your other Meepo, when you have 2 Meepos, this is a pretty good buff. But I don't, again,
I
he's
don't
one of
think
those,
it makes any difference. because you hit level 7 so quickly anyways. You get the Poof is your first spell to be maxed. What really need to push Poof over the limit is you need to use 2 Poof to shut down an entire creep wave. Now you still need 3 Poofs. It's just a little bit rescaling, but it doesn't make any difference, to be honest here.
Okay. Mirana fixed Elune's arrow damaging but not stunning invisible units. So
When
no
they
more
say
Sand
fixed,
King hiding in the sandstorm.
does it now stun and do the damage?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I mean, great, cool.
Morphling base agility increased by 5, adaptive strike cooldown decreased from 20 to 10. Still a very slow hero, but
Yep. Well, actually, you know what? Think about this. Base agility increased by 5. This is a heavier shotgun. You can go more low. You have more stats to work with earlier on. The biggest weakness right now is he is still very heavily countered by anti-mage. The mana is really messed up to him. But I mean, adaptive strike getting more late game powers. I mean, he what Morphling loves to do is to wave behind your carries and start working on your supports. And adaptive strike decrease is really good. The agility increase helps out his early game. We do see pro teams in Dota 2 already use him. Mistrust, the Kells already plays an insane Morphling. They already kind of pick him semi-regularly. It's just
XP
a
picks
matter of
Morphling
time.
too for Loda.
Yep, there you go. Pro teams already picking him, even when anti-mage is in the game. So I think he has a chance. Like against anti-mage, he could just make an anti-mage replicate and still deal with anti-mage that way. I think he's a very viable hero, and D's buff will bring him back in the game.
Right. And even though he had this reign of dominance in 6.69 or 6.70 in Dota 1, I always thought he was one of the more fun heroes to watch because Waveform is just a very flashy spell, even
Right.
though he made games extremely boring. So, I'd like to see more Morphling play, although it might hurt the overall Dota metagame if the games keep dragging on because that's when Morphling reaches peak as the game goes later and later. So, uh, it's a good buff. Make him a little
Mhm.
bit more viable. Alright, Naga Siren. Ensnare cast range from 620, 630 to 640, 650 to 650 all levels. Song of the Siren AoE increased from 750 to 1250. That's a huge increase of AoE. Song of the Siren's end ability is now available 0.5 seconds after casting.
Miss Irrelevant. Let's move on.
Okay. Necrolite. Death Pulse AoE increased from 375, 425, 450, 475 to 475 at all levels. Heartstopper damage aura increased from zero point 0.4, zero point 0.6, zero point 0.8, 1% per second to 0.5, zero point 0.5, 0.7, 0.9, 1.1% per second. I think that was a previous nerf to him, so I think they just rebalanced it.
Right.
Saves level 4 now restores 600 mana if you kill a hero. Wow.
This alone will bring him back into the pro scene.
Right. One of the big
He's
deals
still
about Necrolite in the early game, once you cast Scythe and like one or two death pulses, you're done.
he's done. He's
In
done.
the mid game, his Scythe costs even more mana, and you go for tank items, so you still don't have much mana to work with. So Scythe and two death pulses again, you're done.
Again, he is a food for anti-mage for y'all people who still think anti-mage is OP. He's not, guys. He's not OP. But again, I mean, you know what I was thinking? I was talking about this in my Dota Weekly show. I was like, dude, refresh orb Necrolite. Are you following this? You pulse, you scythe, you refresh, you scythe again, double kill, and then you still have mana to do stuff. I think it's legit stuff, man.
Yeah, it's
Of course,
actually
if you're not, pubbing, if you're actually in a pro game, that 600 mana means a couple more pulses in a team fight. That's legit stuff.
right. So I think he'll definitely be seen more just with this
Oh yeah, you
change
know
alone.
what? Sorry, one more thing. A lot of times after you Reaper Scythe, that's like, a red target for anti-mage. Like, oh yeah, man, ult me. Now says, oh dude, where you at? I got more mana after I kill one of your guys. So
Alright, next hero, Nerubian Assassin. Vendetta cooldown decreased from 90, 75, 60 to 70, 60, 50. Mana burn cooldown decreased from 35, 25, 15, 5 to 28, 20, 12, 4. I don't think this really solves the issues that NA runs into, but these small buffs might see him become one of those once in a blue moon picks.
I totally disagree with you. I'm in one of those very minority camps that believes that Nerubian Assassin is overpowered. No one knows how to micro his bugs properly. Like, it's a freaking full 6-7 seconds of chain stun. Imagine ganking hearted gank heroes such as Puck or Moran and things like that. Nerubian Assassin makes it easy. Like, literally easy. So, buffs are great. again, I hope this is one of those buffs that psychologically may make captain to tell one of their players like, hey, learn NA.
It
We're
doesn't
gonna try it
fix
out.
his laning. It doesn't fix his like really terrible mana pool. And
The
once he
7 second cooldown on a mana burn fixes it because generally you leave it at level 1. It really helps though. Um,
Yeah, but if
yeah,
you
you're
mana
right.
burn,
You're
then
right. He
the
still needs
opponent will just
level.
keep hitting you anyway.
You're right. Laning is gonna be his biggest weakness. But he's probably one of the most awesome gankers in the game,
Yeah,
and
I
no
actually
one,
hope to see him more
no,
because he
yeah,
makes games fun for me. I know you actually despise the hero in general.
right. I do, but I want to see him more.
Alright, Obsidian to start Sanity's Eclipse now hits units imprisoned by Astral Imprisonment.
Not a big change. Not that
Nope.
he needed a buff anyway. So
Yeah, still a balanced hero, in my opinion. Panda and Brewmaster Drunken Haze cooldown decrease from 12 to 8. Tinted Panda Brewmaster's Primal Split model colors. A huge change considering how many pandas are in the game now.
right.
Drunken Haze
Does this hero
cooldown.
need more buffs?
Well, he's quarterback tier for Dota 1, according to you
Right.
guys. But I
According to
think my point has already been argued enough. I think he's not quarterback tier. But anyway, Phantom Assassin Stifling Dagger damage increased from 40, 80 to 120, 160 to 50, 100, 150, 200. Pretty good.
Phase Boot ganking PAs. Here I go, popping with Lumi series.
Yo, can't crit while you're phasing.
Yo, man, don't need a phase while attacking.
True. Phantom Lancer Doppelwalk movement bonus increased from 10 15%. Juxtapose illusions cap increased from 2345 to 2468. More illusions. So
Now you could
I think they
literally,
actually capped it at 5, but now they reversed it back to 8. So he's going to
yep.
become even more annoying.
Now you could literally solo the team.
Yeah. So
And
he's
and
actually
actually,
probably the most deadly
actually
late game hero.
he really is. But again, the games are really turning into more and more early. Medusa getting a buff that really hurts his illusion play. But I actually like the Doppelwalk movement speed bonus. Especially now you can just keep it at 1. Like before I personally don't even get it because like it doesn't almost it's like useless, especially in an organized environment where they have dust and stuff. 15% increase might actually make a difference in terms of skipping and gank. So
Alright, Phoenix. I don't play Phoenix at all. I haven't played
I
Phoenix
don't
since it's
either.
come out. Fire Spirit's heal amount decreased to 50%, but I still think of damage. I think they still have the same damage, so it's like still 400 damage nuke. Fire Spirits now targets a location rather than a unit, so I don't think they track anymore, so you have to predict where they're going. Fire Spirit's cooldown decreased from 35 to 30. Fire Spirit's projectile speed increased. They were pretty slow. Icarus Dive cooldown decreased from 30 to 25. A ridiculously good spell. Had its cooldown decreased. Sunray HP activation cost decreased from 25% to 20%. And Sunray mana cost rescaled from 35 to 10, 20, 30, 40.
You know what? When I first looked at this change list, I was like, oh, they didn't seem like they nerfed Phoenix. And then now I just realized the most important line is now it targets a location.
Yeah, you
Because,
have to predict where they're going.
right, that's actually a big nerf in terms of making it a lot more skillful to use. Against pro players, they will still hit you. But in a pub, they just turn on that spirit and they just kind of target you, and no matter where you are, they will just hit you. It's so annoying.
Well,
But
I
now it's
mean,
actually pretty good.
yeah, I haven't played against him. I wonder how fast his projectile speed has been increased by. Probably not like super fast, but a midway point between fast and his old
Right.
spirit speed. All right,
Uh,
Pit Lord.
I feel like why I still ask the question, why isn't this hero nerfed to Oblivion? Because he's so annoying. But I feel like he now's require a little bit more skill to play, so it's okay.
Pit Lord expulsion corpse explosion rate decreased from every 1.25 seconds to 1.5. Expulsion mana cost increased from 125, 125, 135, 145, 155.
Nah, don't make a big difference, especially
No.
with so many arcane boots running around. It's small nerfs. He's still OP.
Yeah, he's
That's why he's
still
nice to see.
ridiculous pusher.
Yeah.
Pudge Flesh Heap now has an overhead notification when strength is gained. So, just for you Pudge fans out there, you get to see instead of typing dash stats. Pugna life drain damage increased from 90, 140, 185 to 100, 150, 200. Life drain duration increased from 9 to 10 seconds. He's already a good hero.
Yep.
Uh, but I don't know if this buff is game changing. I still think it makes him still a good hero.
I don't think this will make him pick any more or less. It feels like Pugna nowadays already have enough good spells to choose from. I still don't think that life stream will enter into the equation. It might, especially at level 1, when people don't expect it. Level 1's only 5 damage increase, so never mind. Generally, you wanted to pick wards. the crap over life string. So it might make some scepter play Pugna more viable, more frequent, but it's not going to change anything in competitive.
Right. He's already a good hero to pick in certain strategies. I think he'll still remain the same.
Right.
Queen of Pain base damage increased by 4. The Scream of Pain AoE increased to 475 at all levels rather than slowly increasing. Uh,
Not a big deal. Makes it
yeah,
a little bit noob friendly.
yeah. Razor static link duration after phase raises increases from 13 to 18. Static link cooldown rescaled from 35, 30, 25, 20 to 25 at all levels. I think this is actually pretty good. Having the extra 5 seconds of ridiculous damage definitely helps his overall DPS.
Yep.
So I think he might. This might actually, you know,
But it's a more like I feel like whenever I see Razor being played, or when I play Razor, it always feel like it's whether you get the link off or not. When you do get it off, you are OP. When you can't get it off, if they leap away, they dodge it, you're effed either way. So I'm not too sure whether increase the duration would actually help, but it's definitely a welcome buff, especially when he's not the frequent picked hero. He's actually one of those anti-mage counters that we don't expect. I mean, anti-mage blinks and you're like, yo, bro, where you at?
yeah,
And then,
anti-mage still burns your mana, but
yep,
you usually go tanky on Razor if you have a hood. Block that mana void damage. Get at me. I Tree Roof Drellin overgrowth damage per second decreased from
yes,
70, 100, 130 to 50, 75, 100. Thank you. Leech Seed
leech,
mana cost increased from 110, 120, 130, 140 to 140 at all levels. Thank you.
yes. Move on. This hero is so dumb in pubs, and now is less dumb
Hey,
in
you still
pubs.
get your global ring of health for all your buildings
That's
in
true.
the day. But he sucks against Night Stalker.
Yep.
Rubik Fade Bolt mana cost increased from 90, 95, 100, 105 to 150. Thank you. Fade
That's
Bolt
a heavy nerf, not gonna lie, but
Fade
it's
Bolt
needed. It's
cooldown rescaled from 10 to 16, 14, 10, 12, 10.
That was needed, but it was heavy. Yes,
This change makes no sense. Telekinesis mana cost decreased from 160 to 120. What's the cooldown on telekinesis? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't,
Is it like
but
16 or something like that?
you can't
20?
use it twice in engagement. I could look it up right now.
It's
Give me
probably
one
like 20
second.
seconds.
But I guess the decrease, it's like, well, your mana cost for Fable is actually look at how big. It was a huge increase. So I guess I mean the biggest thing about Fable is that it just the spell itself is ridiculous, but the cooldown and mana cost just make it even more so. So they balance that a little bit. But you don't want to nerf the hero too much. I feel like load its telekinesis. Telekinesis is not his bread and butter. It's Fable and of course his ultimate. So I don't think it's a big deal. And play Dota right now is being slow for me, but
Okay,
yeah,
we'll just move
it's not a
on.
big thing.
So
Yeah,
I don't play Rubik at all, but if you say that you can't use telekinesis twice in an engagement, then I suppose thank you for getting these nerfs because
yeah,
they were much needed. Sand King Epicenter Slow is no longer blocked by magical immunity. That's pretty big. Caustic Finale
yeah.
buff duration increased from 2 to 8 seconds.
Eh.
That is
The only thing I
so
want to
meh.
say here for the Cosmic Finale is you could actually use it in lane. You could hit a creep and then back off, and then it will own melee heroes. How often do you lane against melee hero at the mid lane or maybe on the side lane? It owns Broodmother like no other. I can tell you that. It makes him a very more reliable Broodmother
Yeah, we might not see
counter.
Broodmother first banned in every game.
Right. So I mean, there's some plays. Of course, Broodmother does go BKB. This seems more and more like a Broodmother counter to me. Real fast, telekinesis cooldown it is 18 seconds.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, overall good nerfs. But he's still really good. Rubik, that is. Okay, Shadow Fiend, movement speed increased from 300 to 305. Agility growth increased from 2.4 to 2.9. Necromancy Soul Cap increased by 2 at the last level. Basically, that's
Yep.
what it comes down to.
Yep. Does it matter? Like the issue right now with Shadow Fiend, he is easily ganked. Our changes don't really like 5 extra movement speed is not gonna matter. He's low in HP. Our changes here don't actually matter. It feels like this move to me,
It makes
completely
him a
to me
better
right
late
now,
game hero.
best makes him better late game hero. It makes Captain again wants to pick him. This is more of a psychological move, from the way I see it. Because to me right now, Shadow Fiend is already a very pickable hero. That's how I see it.
Especially
Especially in Dota
against
2,
nerfed Bat
where
Rider.
Bat is nerf Bat Rider. Very pickable hero. He actually out DPS anti-mage. He farms faster than anti-mage. I just don't know why he's not being picked.
And he picks up Manta
Um,
Style faster than Anti-Mage, so
there you go.
have those extra illusions to confuse him.
Yep.
Silencer, Glaze of Wisdom damage increased from 30, 40, 50, 60% to 30, 45, 60, 75%. Last word now functions while Silencer is stunned slash silenced.
Yes. Yes. You know why he was never played? Because you stun him, he's done. Now you just tank up with this hero, and he's gonna
He's
be big.
broken.
He's not broken. He's gonna be big. Like he single-handedly shuts down so many heroes. Back in the Inside Dota Invitational that you and I casted, we saw so many big AoE ultimates, right?
Yeah.
Dude, this hero says, "Yo, get at me here!" Like it's insane. I feel like Silence is one of the most underrated ability in Dota. And guess what? Silencer counters anti-mage. Heyo. So,
I feel bad for Pucks everywhere because
yep.
he's
You don't.
broken against Puck.
You don't. Silencer is gonna come get you, and he's gonna come. He'd be raping everyone out there. So careful.
And he's gonna go shh, shh, no talking.
Not
Just
talking.
take it like a
Eh, eh.
man. Alright, no Japanese anime right there. Last
No,
word.
that's the sound it makes when it is silences.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
you
it's
know?
like oh, like that.
It's so annoying, dude.
Oh yeah, what is it in Dota 2? It's like silenced in like a weird auto-tune voice or something like that. So you're gonna hear that even more. Last word no longer triggers when enemies use items. So a necessary nerf to help that huge buff.
Right.
Slark. Pounce damage increased at all levels. Pounce
I
cooldown
never knew
rescaled.
it did damage before, but great.
Pounce cooldown rescaled to 8 at its lowest level, but before that it's nerfed. Pounce cast range increased to 700 at all levels. Shadow Dance regen increased by 1% at every level, capping out at 5% at level 3. Shadow Dance passive bonuses activation delay decreased from zero point 0.7 to zero point 0.5.
Is it gonna make him competitive viable? No, but what it is gonna change is now the pubbing with Lumi series is gonna call the stomping with Lumi series. Cause damn, there's
God.
still pub stomping all over the place, and this is gonna be making it more.
Yo, shout out to the viewers. Louis Slark is notorious for being terror bad.
What are you talking about?
Yo,
Killian
enough
has
said. Move on. Don't deny it. Sniper shrapnel AoE increased from 325 to 350.
Nah, let's
Enough
go on.
said.
Yeah, he's already picked. You know.
Spectre dispersion damage no longer disables items like Blink Dagger.
Well, you don't pick him to disable Blink Dagger. You have Haunt for it anyways. It's not really a big change.
Well, sometimes I was watching Demon Stream and he was bitching about he couldn't blink in with Sand King because Spectre was constantly dispersing damage. So, it helps heroes like Sand King or Earthshaker be a bit more when Spectre's
A
rushing their
better Spectre
towers.
player would Haunt before you blink him. Just saying.
Oh, what if they just wait for Haunt to be over?
Then your team is dead because they Haunt Radiance and you dead.
Oh, okay.
Spectre OP.
Alright, Master of Dota. Spirit Breaker Charge of Darkness cooldown decreased from 40 to 35. Charge of Darkness AoE knockback increased from 250 to 300. Nether Strike damage increased from 100 to 200 to 300 to 150, 250, 350. Still fun hero, dive in, don't give a crap. Spirit Breaker is like he's one of the most fun heroes for me because if you have a TA on your team, you just dive in across the map all over the place and get kills. And if you die, you can just play it on your new team. So
You know what? Like I feel like this hero in a pub game doesn't need actually any buffs, but this is just makes him even more annoying to deal with. In a pro game, I definitely seen European teams picking him, especially like right after he got all these changes way back when, like 5-6 months
right,
ago.
and nothing changed about him for nerfs, but he just
Right.
died out as the metagame shifted.
I think he's a competitively viable hero. Maybe not so much as say Darkseer or Kunkka or something like that, but this might help. I don't know. Like Four Staffs and others will still own him. His Charge of Darkness, the biggest weakness is that you can still stun him. So as long as you don't get around that thing, I don't think he's gonna be picked in high amounts.
Alright, SA backstab damage bonus increased from 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1.0 to 0.5, 0.75, 1.0, 1.25 of agility.
Does he need it? I
Mm,
feel like he's pretty OP already. To be completely honest.
OP? He's never
Yeah.
picked.
Yo, man, PHE picking this as a counter pick to anti-mage. Heyo! More and more counter pick. I mean,
Yo,
he
Smokescreen is
hurts.
a ridiculous spell.
It is a ridiculous spell.
Combined with
Now,
Diffusal Blade, shuts down Storm, Anti-Mage. It shuts down, like, basically every non-tank hero in the game.
exactly. And against tank heroes, they probably don't have a lot of mana to work with, and
Right.
you get diffusal blade. I think he's already a really good hero. I don't know why he needs a buff. Maybe again, it's one of those psychological things to make teams pick him more. But he's easily countered as well, and that's why we don't see him in a lot of pro games. So
Right. And before level 6, he's kind of useless.
mhm.
Storm Spirit Overload bonus damage increased from 30, 45, 60, 75 to 30, 50, 70, 90. I don't know if
Cool.
this will help him be picked more, but it buffs him. He's still
Like
a,
I mean,
a stable
the
pick in Dota 2, I
yeah,
think.
in a pro game, you'd be like, yeah, they have
You don't
really
pick him
easy
for
pick
his
up.
Overload bonus damage.
Exactly, exactly. So you pick him for what he does with his ultimate, and I just like, yeah, cool, great, let's move on.
Alright, your favorite hero in the game, Sven. Great Cleave increased from 20, 30, 40, 50 to 30, 40, 50, 60% cleaving. God Strength is no longer purgeable.
That's
God
cool.
Strength damage buff increased from 100, 125, 150 to 100, 140, 180. Warcry duration increased from 6 to 8. And Warcry
Strong
cast time
buff.
removed. That is probably the biggest buff.
Yeah, that definitely is a big buff. The reason that God Strength is no longer purgeable is not a big buff as well. Well, even though if your God Strength is not purgeable, you're still slow as F. You still can't attack. So you God Strength purge or not, you're not gonna do any damage anyways. This actually, I do like the buffs. It might make teams to actually play him as more of a carry, which I love. You can see that there's no change to his mana increase. There's no change into his Stormbolt cost. So if you still play him as a roamer, he is still the most useless hero in the game. But if you play him as carry,
Yeah, and it makes him a little bit more viable in pushing strats, having that extra 2 seconds and having a faster Warcry cast time. So it gives him a pretty good amount of armor. I think it's plus 12 at level 4 in AoE for creeps as well. That
and the
can really,
attack speed,
yeah. Okay, Tinker Laser Misduration increased by 1 second.
cool.
Yep. Tiny and now automatically and permanently equips a trait when he has Aghanim Scepter. Makes him badass. Doesn't change anything because I've never seen Aghanims on Tiny ever. Like,
And
rarely in pubs.
you won't either because all these utility items gonna be preferred over Aghanim.
Troll
So cool,
Warlord Fervor increments now increase while attacking towers. Cool.
cool.
Makes him better pusher. Makes him, like, able to do something instead of single
I need a
target right clicking
pusher.
a
Let's
hero.
consider Troll or Syllabear. All right, let's go with Troll.
Yo, kill the bear now. Alright,
Okay.
Tuskar. Snowball cooldown decrease from 40 to 28. Uh, Pretty big in terms of difference.
I guess so.
Well, I think you might see at the end, you might change your tune. Armor increased by 1. Ursa! Armor increased by 1. Enraged damage increased from 456 to 567% of current HP. Earthshock AoE increased from 365 to 385. Earthshock cooldown decreased from 7 to 6. Fury Swipe's damage increased from 10, 15, 20, 25 to 15, 20, 25, 30. Alright, since I am the best Ursa in the world, I think all of these buffs are totally unnecessary because he's already the third best hero in the game. But I see that Icefrog is respecting the Ursa. He's saying, he's a big cuddly teddy bear. We need to make him more badass than he is. So all these buffs, I respect Icefrog for doing that for Ursa.
Yeah, being not nearly as good as the Ursa player as b-balling, these buff will help noobs like me. Whether it comes back into the competitive pool, no, he won't. He'll just make him a better pub stomper, great. More stomping with Lumi series. But, Force F owns him, Gold Scepter owns him, all these new items
Viper
introduced
owns
will
him.
own him. Viper owns him, Bad Rider owns him. So hey, you know, cool, great.
Visage added Aghanim Scepter for Visage creates one extra familiar. Soul Assumption mana cost rescaled from 200, 180, 160, 140 to 170, 160, 150, 140. We don't see many Trilines versus Trilines anymore, but we do see that quite a bit in Dota 2. So if he's introduced in Dota 2 like very soon, this might become significant. And Aghanim's getting that extra familiar, having an extra chain stun, doing a bit more
Yeah, that's
damage.
not gonna
It's
do anything.
cool.
It's
It
cool.
doesn't really make him.
You're not gonna spend 4K for like, an extra bird.
Yeah.
That's just not worth it. Soul Assumption, actually, this is such a strong trialing hero that he might just bring back the entire trialing metagame by himself. Like as soon as you see, hey, trialing being more picked against him, maybe teams have to respond by getting trialing themselves. The mana cost was his biggest issue. You could not have casted two Soul Assumption in one engagement at level 1 before. Now you can. So, hey, pretty big stuff.
I hope we don't see him. I think Visage is so boring.
No, man, he has global ganks, man. Watching King J play Visage is like watching Tentacle Hentai. It's that good.
Dang. Now you're gonna see even more posts on your YouTube channel wall talking about
Yep.
tentacle hentai.
There you go.
So Warlock Inferno's Flaming Fist trigger chance increased from 40 to 60%. Meh. Inferno's Flaming Fist damage increased from 75, 115, 150 to 100, 150, 200. You know, buffs his Inferno. It still has a ridiculous cooldown, but makes his big rock pretty good. Won't
Yeah,
change much.
won't change much. He still has the best spell in the game, Fatal Bond, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. He's OP with Venomancer. He's actually broken with
He's actually
Venomancer.
broken with Venomancer, so
Yeah. We saw him a little bit in Dota 2 for a bit, but then he sort of faded away again
yep.
because he's not aggressive enough. Okay, Zeus, Arc Lightning level 4 damage increased from 130 to 145. Lightning Bolt cooldown decreased from 6.5 to 6. Static Field now affects creeps. Better pusher. Static Field no longer requires unit visibility to take effect.
So you could still hit invisible heroes, I guess.
I think so.
Oh, you
Or
could hit units in fog.
I think that's the one. Hit
But
units
when
in
you hit
fog.
units in fog, do you see it? Do you see
I
the
think
buff?
as long as you're using the AoE of Static Field, if you Arc Lightning, then all the enemy heroes will
But do you
get
see
hit by
them?
it. I don't
Do you
think you'll
see it?
see them.
That's the thing. He's still quite Mr. Irrelevant. We don't pick him for a reason. He stays in emo tier. But actually, the Arc Lightning and the Static Field affecting creeps, that will help you push the lane a little bit more. That gives you better ring control. Is that going to overall affect Zeus play? Not really. I
Unless you
feel
go with
like he's
MTW crazy start with Pugna, decrep like global gank.
decrep boat, I
Did
guess.
you
I
watch
mean,
that game?
no.
It was actually really good. So you should watch that.
Okay.
Alright, before we talk about the new items, we'll just go with the changes to items. Boots of Travel recipe cost decreased from 220 or 2,200 to 2,000, and movement speed increased from 95 to 100. Move
Necessary
really
buff. I feel
fast.
like it's already a very good boots, but takes too long to set up. I still don't think a lot of people would make it more viable, but it's an indirect buff to things like Tinker, so that's pretty cool.
Bloodstone initial charges increased from 5 to 6. Bloodstone respawn time duration increased from 3 to 4 seconds per charged. Doesn't change much because it's too expensive at the moment.
And
And
do you know my thoughts on this? It's like logically it makes no sense.
you're forced to die
Yeah, but you don't want to die ever.
because you want to get charges.
Right.
Yeah,
Makes no sense.
like Huskar.
Right.
Butterfly evasion increased from 30 to 35%. Better late game agility item. I don't know if it needed that, to be quite honest, but hey, whatever.
Maybe given that there's a lot of other late game items introduced.
Actually, with the role of evasion might take place in the new items, it might
Yep.
be make it a little bit more attractive. All right, Divine Rapier increased from 250 to 300 in terms of damage. Cool. Still game
Okay.
breaking. Now it's
Now it's even more game breaking,
yep.
especially when you lose it.
Ethereal Blade, Ether Blast, cast range increased from 700 to 800. It's already the
Do
best
we
item in
need
the
that?
game. It's already the best item in the game, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. So I mean, seriously, don't
Heal
need buff.
Scepter of Divinity. Movement speed bonus increase from 25 to 30.
It's actually a big deal
Five
because
five movement speed is a big deal.
yeah, no, seriously. Think of the heroes that get them. It's Invoker who has 21% increase from Wex, and then of course, I don't know, 10 or 16
Yeah,
increase in
and
face
Prob
boot.
with
Things
Witchcraft.
Crobless, like I talked about, Witchcraft increase. It actually gives you a decent 30 to 40 increase.
Yeah,
Um,
and now you might not even need to make phase boots on them.
no, you still do, but hey, yeah, it's good. It's cool.
Alright, Lincoln Sphere added plus 10 damage to account for
Yes,
component bonuses. Makes sense. No longer triggered by Medallion of Courage, no longer
yes.
triggered by Urn of Shadows. Those are the big things.
Yep, it makes it a little bit more viable play. It fits Morphling a little bit better, so we might see him more. Fits Dusa better, but she's so farm slow. It's still generally a very bad item overall, but Pinoy fans out there be rejoicing because Lincoln's BKB stable item choice.
Yo, so if Potom uses like Lincoln's and uses Medallion, does your own Medallion would it
No, I
trigger
don't
it
think.
before?
I don't. I no. I think it has only. I don't think that's the case.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't
Or
matter now because it's no longer
yeah.
triggered, but I didn't know. I don't use Potom or or Medallion. Too many buttons, man. Too many buttons. Magic Wand no longer loses charges when upgrading from Magic Stick. Cool.
Cool.
Still awesome item. Still one of the best items in the game.
Mhm.
Mask of Madness Berserk's movement speed bonus increase from 20 to 25%.
Easier to make that 5-2-2 movement speed build.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool
Uh,
stuff.
Makes Spearbreaker go on crack even harder for all you
Great.
Spearbreaker fans out there. Mjolnir, Chain Lightning bounce count increased from 4 to 8.
That's actually pretty sick.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Like, actually a legit item to counter Radiance, or kind of use the Radiance against. But I don't care. Let's talk about the next item.
Necronomicon. Archer's mana burn cast range increased from 250 to 600.
Heyo!
Archer's attack
Keep
damage
going.
increased from 31, 60, 191 to 40, 80, 120.
Heyo!
Warrior's attack damage increased from 21, 41, 61 to 25, 50, 75.
Yo, this is a legit item. I'm gonna say it's a counter to anti-mage. Not really, but a mana burns does hurt. Seriously, the 250 to 600 range increase in mana burns legit stuff.
Yeah, I've
They
always said
already work fast,
once you
and
get
now
if you get Necro like really early, it's like having a sixth hero, and now you're gonna have
exactly.
a legit sixth hero if you get it,
And
early
if
enough.
5 people get it, it's like having 10 heroes on your team.
Oh
Holy
my
crap!
god.
GG.
Or Venom, cost decreased from 450 to 350.
Cool.
Yep, whatever. Orchid
Ah, here's the
Malevolence.
item. Here's the item. Orchid of how do you say that?
Orchid Malevolence.
Ah, okay. I'm a good cemeterian.
Yeah, I hear you. You're doing this video for me. You're a good
Yeah.
cemeterian.
Thank you.
Recipe reworked now requires 2 Oblivion Staffs and a 775 gold recipe. How much is Oblivion Staff? 900 plus 350. So it's like 1500. So they halved the cost for the last Oblivion Staff for the recipe. And
Right.
now it gives you more intelligence, same amount of attack speed, less damage, less mana regen, and soul burn. But for that half cost, it makes it. I think it's 4.25k now instead of 5k.
Right. It does say the total cost is now 4125
Oh yeah,
instead of 5,000. The stats itself don't matter. The really lower the mana regen is gonna make storms in general to pick it up less, but in exchange you get it a lot faster. It's like a mid-game regeneration item. No longer will we have the comparison between like, oh, let's pick up Hex or let's pick up Orchid. Now we could like, yeah, let's pick up Orchid first and then we'll go into Hex. Again, this is that huge counter to anti-mage because 4K gold, that's nothing to a solo mid storm, to be completely honest.
yeah.
Not
Windrunners might pick it up.
there you go. I mean, hey, anti-mage, where you at?
And
Because before you
Orchid
get
carriers like that are not intelligent too, like Broodmother or Clinks, will definitely benefit from it.
PA
And
Orchids,
Nyx.
yeah, next Orchids, there you go. It's actually a very legit item. And
Yeah, this is
bonuses
pretty
are great.
big.
Yeah.
Alright, Smoke a Dispel AoE for nearby heroes increased from 950 to 1025.
Eh.
Pretty necessary because I think in Dota 2 Smoke is like a broken item. So if this gets incorporated into Dota 2, then it might become a little less broken. I know that in one game, Moscow 5 got 3 smokes and they got 3 kills from it. And if you have a Blink Dagger to pair with it, so it's pretty good.
The same smoke argument I've been saying forever. It's like it's a item that punish people don't pay enough attention. Smokes really. I mean, smokes are so effective in all genres, in all regions of play. But I feel like teams are just not. If you're 100% mentally prepared for it, you're not gonna get smoke tanked. But that's just me.
Refresher Orb added +6 intelligence to account for component bonuses. Good stuff.
Refresher, Necrolite. I mean, I'm saying.
Stygian Desolator. Recipe decreased from 1200 to 900. So now it's like 4.1k instead of 4.4.
Yeah, it's Veil Shadow Fiends.
HP Vanguard HP bonus decreased from 275 to 250.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about Decision. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Veil. I
No,
was getting a little bit ahead of myself.
yeah, calm down, man, calm down.
Okay.
So Vanguard back to its original stats before all the buffs happened in like 6.66 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's not gonna stop people from buying it, 25 HP, but it's cool.
Veil of Discord. Now recipe now costs only 1 Robe of the Magi. Completed bonus are the same. So now instead of 3k, it's like a little bit over 2.5k.
Yep.
Pretty cool. But
Veil
its
Shadow
recipe,
Fiend.
it,
Sorry, that was a little bit too early earlier, but hey.
its recipe is still 12 or 1.2k.
Yeah, the item like I think lowering the recipe cost is the true thing that needs buff. Lowering the Robe of Magi doesn't matter because Robe of Magi is not bad as a build up item. But right now like that that recipe cost is absolutely huge. But for what it does, it's actually really insane. So
Alright, I think we'll go to gameplay cosmetics. I want to do all the new stuff at the end. So
you don't want to talk about the new items?
we'll talk about the new stuff at the end.
Okay.
Significant changes to couriers.
Yep.
Uh,
Now,
less
if you
gold
kill a
when they die.
courier, they respawn in 3 minutes.
Right.
That's cool, I guess.
But now it doesn't have invuln shield.
Right, but and the items, even if you kill it, they don't. Do they go back to the circle, or how does it work? I don't
I
know.
think
It
it's
doesn't say.
basically giving you more incentive to micro it instead of just clicking
Yes.
the invuln shield. Uh, they're inaccessible, so they're probably on the courier.
Oh, I see.
So you don't get those items for 3 minutes if it
It.
dies.
Oh man.
No more.
Never again will we have ZSMJ refarming that relic. Never again. Just a little sad.
Well, he's
Sorry.
retired anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Keep moving on.
I made you a little bit sad right there.
I am.
Buyback cooldown increased from 4 to 5 minutes.
Cool.
Yeah. Hopefully, you won't have to wait for buybacks. Hopefully, you'll just push in. But it'll encourage more turtling. Who knows? I don't know. Heroes now respond with full mana.
This is a huge buff to things like Storm Spirit, because I always ask myself why the hell do you want to buy back if you have to take
I
10
thought when you
seconds.
buy back, you get full stuff anyway.
Oh, sorry, not buyback.
It's just when
Respawn
you
time in
respawn.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, get owned. You ain't YYF
But
yet.
still, Storm Spirit in a base defense situation, pretty big.
Yeah. Gold over time from point. Oh, whatever. That's like the least important change. Not even gonna bother saying it.
I mean, in 10 minutes you lose like 100 gold, I guess, something like that.
Runes will no longer spawn the same type of rune 2 times in a row. No more like quadruple illusion runes. Thank God.
Uh, yeah, I think you know what. I think it helps more than hurts. To be completely honest, now you have higher chance of getting something like a double damage and a haste instead of double hastes. That always give you like a double regen. Like okay, that's redundant, right?
Yeah.
Now it makes runes a little bit better, to be honest. And also you kind of predict like, oh, I just saw him got a haste rune, so now I know he's not gonna get a haste rune, like something like that. Pretty cool.
Added Tree, Terrorblade, and Tuskar to Captain's mode. So now you get free blinking for your melee initiators with Tuskar Snowball. You get a ridiculously item independent carry with Terrorblade, and now you get Global
Did
Ring
you
of
just
Health
say
for your
item
towers.
independent with Terrorblade together? Come on.
Yo, he doesn't need that many items. He has attack speed built in, and he has illusions built in.
I'm just wondering how the pros gonna play Terrorblade because I think he's OP, ridiculously OP. Well, maybe with the fact that Dusa against illusions would be pretty cool. But even so,
Well, in this
Sun,
metagame, he's pretty powerful because he pushes like a beast.
right. But the thing is, BKB is not an option on Terrorblade. To be completely honest here, because you can't BKB and use Thunder, you actually don't get any bonuses HP back. So BKB is not a possibility on him, and because of that, you can actually easily shut him down with things like the new items that's introduced.
What do you
So
think about Tree and Tuskar being added?
why do you want to pick Tree? To be honest, his laning is weakened by the Leech Seed. His ultimate does have a short cooldown, but is it better than things like, let's say, Ravage? Is it better things than a Black Hole? Is it better than a Echo Slam with a Blink Dagger? Is it better than a Magnus ultimate? I can't say he is. He comes off as a laning support. He does a little bit of everything, and I just feel like that's not enough. I think most pro teams like, okay, we want AOE team fight. Let's go with Ravage. I don't think Treant.
Well, he might be a little bit more viable in Turley strats because he gets that Ring of Health for towers.
Exactly. My question is, will teams pick him as a Radiance farmer? Because he is played on some occasions like that. And if
I think that was back when he didn't need so much mana. Now he needs a lot of mana to do all this stuff.
right, so I don't know.
But
What do you,
nature's guys in the pro scene.
hey, second best spell after Fatal Bond.
And
Nature's Guy is actually a legit spell. But what do you think? Do you think you're
I
gonna be?
think we'll see a bit of Tree. He's not going to be a stable pick. I think he might be a nerd
What
pick
does
near
it
tier.
throw? In your opinion, is he AOE initiator? Is he a
Well,
farmer?
think about it this way. I think Overgrowth has a 100-second cooldown, right?
Yep,
Ravage
fairly low.
has 150. So you can cast Overgrowth 6 times in 6 minutes as compared to Ravages 4 times in 6 minutes.
But it's like to be
Or less
honest,
than that, in 600
right?
seconds as compared to
No,
four
the thing
times in
is,
600 seconds.
most pro teams will always wait for their ultimates on a cooldown, like before they fight.
Yeah, but I
Unless,
think for
unless
teams who want to go faster team
that's
fights,
true. That's true.
where their team fights are ridiculously good in the mid game, like paired with Sand King, but then once an opponent gets a pipe, they're kind of shut down. I think he might be viable there, but laning is going to be the real problem. But you might play him like a Gondar, just Nature's Guys and Windwalk.
Yeah, man. Nature's guys is like it's the X factor to me. Yeah, enemy could get Sentry Wards, and I think that's the biggest argument. But like, it's more stress on the supports. Like that means that's one less pair of wards that they're getting in general. So
Right.
you have to make him work. It's not like okay, let's pick him and let's win. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
that's
not
not
like a Tide you can roam around gank.
right,
You need
right.
levels with Tree.
Yeah.
And Tuskar, free Blink Dagger, and now the cooldown's reduced by 12 seconds to 28. Free Blink Dagger for your melee initiator. So,
I think that's a bad idea because depending how well the positioning of the enemy support, that means you're blinking you and your friends in for a chain frost. Of course their lich is going to stay back. That means their black hole is going to be right in on you. Same thing with Echo Slam. It feels like you're setting yourself up more than you're setting up. This is a team fight situation. As a ganker, he's great.
yeah.
Especially his frozen sigil. I think it's really underrated.
And Path Block for ganks.
Block for
They're not
ganks.
going to escape unless
But
they're
again,
bad.
with the availability of things like Force Staff, really counters that snowball because when you see a snowball coming in, you could just run out of it, Force Staff out of it, and they're gonna be in no man's land. And then in the team fight situation, I feel like Tuskar is a very very weak hero, but in ganking, he's strong. So I mean, team fight is it's a phase that is not going to be going anywhere in Dota. No
Yo,
matter how quickly you want to end the game, a team fight is going to build there. I feel like Tuskar is a very weak hero in that regard.
imagine Tuskar with NA rolling in on you. You're dead.
I guess so.
Alright, alright, here's the loading screen again. It looks pretty. I think it's Luna, Rubik, DK versus Medusa, Lycan, because he's not blue, so it's not Shadow Demon. And you think that's AA? I'm not really too sure.
I do think that's A, or maybe it's Lich. Um, but it's A. It looks like he's shooting out some ice
Yeah,
blast, or maybe he's using his chilling touch. But you know what? I liked the previous man before. I liked seeing Bottom's back of her ass.
I like this one a little bit more because it has a little more color.
I guess, yeah.
It has the contrasting green and the red and the blue,
I do like the double Mystic Snake. That's a cool play here from the group.
adding various Christmas themed effects. Santa
I
hats for
agree.
killing streaks. At first I was like, Mini Viper has a Santa cat, but it's really small. So once Mini Viper
Hey,
is in
when
Dota 2,
BKB it's not small.
yeah. And then what else?
You know what I thought was cool? Some of the changes to healing troll creep.
Yeah,
I
it has
would
a mana
actually see him
aura.
dominating a forest healing troll because it's
Yeah, they
plus
buffed the neutral creeps. They buffed the mana pool for the satyrs and the storm, and they gave troll healing mana aura too. So it's pretty good.
that's an indirect buff to that's a huge buff to things like Enchantress or
Chen.
Chen. Yeah, pretty big stuff.
Yep. And Ghost
Actually,
Ship.
real fast, let me ask you. You're playing DK. You have a Helmet Dominator. Do you want to dominate one of those healing troll from Mana Regen for a Fire Breath?
No.
Okay. I might do that, but that's just me.
Mm. Well, I think you're wrong.
Okay.
Ghost Ship has alternate model. I'll be showing that you in a bit. And now for the parts you've been waiting for. I think we should talk about the new items, and then we'll talk about the overall competitive scene.
Yep.
And then we'll talk about the new heroes at the end. But this is a pretty long video anyway. So get out your popcorn. New items.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest change. Like how a heroes when they're introduced, it takes a while to be added into the competitive scene. New items are added in automatically and
Yeah.
instantly, and these items are OP. In the last couple of versions, Icefrog has been making a huge impact in terms of making the game go earlier and earlier. So we see more and more utility item getting added, more and more utility items getting buffed. And these items we're looking into today, same thing. Utility, mostly utility items, the one that
I
is going to
think
make an impact.
I think we had a little bit of argument about the viability of this item. The Rod of Adus or Addis. I think it's Addis. Requires 2 Staff of Wizardry and a Vitality booster. No recipe. 3,100 gold. Gives you plus 25 intelligence, plus 250 HP, and a cripple which is an active ability which slows the target move speed by 50% for 4 seconds. Has pretty good cast range, 800 cast range, 20-second cooldown, 50 mana cost. Now, I argued that this is, you want to, for 3,100 gold, you want to get a little bit more bang for your buck. You mean you get a little bit of HP, but you don't get a hard disable, and it only slows the movement speed. It has a 12-second or has a 20-second cooldown for a 4-second active, and it only slows the movement speed. It doesn't slow the attack speed or anything like that.
Right.
You argued that this item is broken, or it's really good.
Because I mean, it's good in the sense that it stops a good hero, a good number of heroes in the pool. It obviously doesn't stop things like anti-mage, Lycan. Some heroes just basically is impervious to them, and obviously you won't want to pick it against those heroes. I feel like it's a good, like a 3v1 gank. It kind of ensures a kill for sure. I really love the build up. Gives you. I'm personally a big fan of getting stats. But 50% slow. Imagine that it's kind of like open wounds from Slark, of course, a slow comparison. But for 3,100 gold, I don't know. I'm still liking my like. At this point, it's not how good this item is, because obviously every single item is good at their own right. But whether you're going to use that 3,100 gold to get this, or let's say get a 4-staff plus a VIP booster.
I don't think its active ability is justifiable enough.
No, I don't think it is.
In order to get such a heavy investment. Either you want to save up for a big enough investment for like a Hex or an Orchid, or you want to get a low
here's the thing.
cost, like a Yules, which is a disable, or a 4-staff, which is much cheaper.
This is only the one few utility item that give you huge HP. The other item is something like a Necro Book, which is not really a utility, I say. It's more of a farmer item. Django is there, but again,
it's not as much an HP boost.
Right.
Boost.
But my question still remains, would you rather have this or a 4-staff plus a Vit booster? Because it comes out to be pretty much the same thing. I think in most cases, you go for the 4-staff plus Vit booster. But again, this is one slot, the other one's 2 slots, so it's hard to say. I think this one has its room, but I think the cooldown needs a little bit of work.
It might be pretty good against like Night Stalker.
Oh, actually it would be,
Yeah, that movement speed for 4 seconds allows time for TP in, allows for you to run to a safe place and TP out. Yeah. We're gonna have to wait and see for this item. Yeah. But I think it can be useful, but I don't know if it's very viable.
What are you gonna get it on? Windrunners? Any good old intelligence carry? Yeah, exactly, right? Like, who do you actually gonna get this on? That's
maybe on question. Silencer. Give you HP.
Hey, there you go. If you need the HP, extra intelligence won't be bad. The slow will be pretty good. It's a pseudo escape mechanism against one.
Yeah.
It's not bad, actually. You're right.
We'll see. Heaven's Halberd, they're gonna do something with Sange. Oh my god.
Yes. Now it's six Heaven's Halberd instead of 6 Sange. Legit though.
Requires Sange and Talisman Evasion. No recipe, so 4k gold for, utility strength hero. Gives you 20 strength, 25 damage. 20 strength is like, how much HP? That's like 400 HP?
Yep.
That's really good.
That's legit, yeah.
25 damage, 25 evasion, lesser maim, same as Sage, and disarm. Removes the target's ability to attack for 4 seconds to range targets and 3 seconds to melee targets. At first I was like, oh my god, this ability is broken. But then I saw 30-second cooldown. Again.
And I saw 100 cast sorry. Oh shoot, it's not 100 cast range. I thought it was 100 cast range.
No, it's 100 mana cost, 600 cast range.
Okay, that's actually legit.
But, I mean, a 4-second active for range targets, 3-second active with a 30-second cooldown? I mean, it's a good item. It gives you a lot of HP. That might be what seals the deal. It gives you so much HP, and it gives you pretty good damage and evasion.
This feels like an item that forces anti-mage, for example. I see this as an anti-mage counter because it forced him to go Mantis style. It forced him to go BKB, one or the other. If you don't have this item, you are screwed in a team fight, literally. Because 3 seconds might not seem like a big thing, but it's a tide-turning effect. When your anti-mage, when your team realize, oh, my anti-mage is actually not doing anything. Oh, let's blink out. And that's when the chase begins. It might sound like it's not a lot, but it really is.
Yeah, and Lycan, even... I think you can probably use it on Silver's Bear, so you can buy 4 seconds of not pushing the tower.
Hey, there you go. So, but I won't use it on Bear. But no, I really like the build up because Sage, I mean, who doesn't want Sage, right? But more importantly, you're getting evasion on String Hero. Can you just kind of like put that in your mind? Can you imagine like freaking centaur with this? Like, it's how the hell are you gonna
Dude,
kill these things?
Nyx with this
Yeah,
evasion gives you a passive slow, and you can't get targeted by an anti-mage who's trying to drain all your mana.
because if you think about it, I'm actually think the build up in itself, like not the ability, like this is really broken because some strength heroes as a very luxurious item, they will already pick up butterfly, as because they
Yeah,
want the evasion, they
I
want
mean
the
the only
attacks,
real strength DPS item is Armlet.
right? I mean, I guess satanic could be considered as one, but they don't really have the attack speed. But this is it. This is a really good HP item. It gives you evasion. That just OP to me. So I like this. I'm actually think some
Yeah,
intelligence hero or agility heroes might even consider this.
again, it depends on which heroes you have, whether they have enough money. If you have to sort of pick into a strength carry, but
I
now I
could see
think about it,
DK's getting it.
it's good for Night Stalker too, because it
Yep.
gives you evasion.
And Sage, I mean, come on, perfect.
This is like the
But again,
perfect item for
that
Night
that
Stalker.
that disarm is it's legit stuff. It literally forces you to run, and again, making your enemy run is always a good thing.
Yeah, if you don't want to go for Axe, this is probably Night Stalker's second choice. But
I'll go for this over X. Completely honest here,
all right,
but
Ring of Aquila or Aquila, Akia, which is probably the Spanish word, but I think Aquila.
I'm gonna Google translate this to see how it's pronounced. But go on, sorry.
Requires Wraithband, Ring of Basilius, no recipe again, so 1k gold basically. But it gives you, Ring of Basilius and Wraithband. You're not going to do much with your inventory, so it saves you 2 slots. Gives you plus 9 damage, plus 3 all stats, plus 3 agility, plus 1 armor, plus 2 armor aura, plus 0.65 mana regeneration aura. This gives you no bonuses at all. This is just a combination of the two items.
Aquila is Ring of Aquila.
Okay.
I am in the camp that Ring of Basilius is ridiculously imbalanced as an item. Just the cheap build up, how it builds up, how you could disassemble it, how it provides mana regen. It's so ridiculously imbalanced. And now you're just kind of like, oh yeah, let's kind of add more stuff to it.
I
Cool,
think this is like the perfect item for anti-mage.
right?
Because you can disassemble it and get a Vlad's.
Later on, yep.
But,
I
I
think
mean,
Dusa or Morphling would kind of
yeah.
like in this item. Pretty
Even
cool.
Brood, maybe? I don't know.
Uh, this is an item that Icefrog's kind of he just wanted another item to get an upgrade into a Wraith Band because you remember we had a Ethereal Blade that had a Wraith Band
Right.
addition. He kind of just wanted another item upgrade to Basilius and Wraith Band. So
You can
this is
tell
kind
because
of
there's no active abilities. This is
right.
just a
This is kind of
combination of
just
the
like
two things.
WTF is about. It's not even a big deal, but I believe Ring of Basilius is a big deal, and this is gonna be a big deal as well.
Alright. Next item Abyssal Blade. Move over, Scotty. Most expensive item in the game, I think.
No,
Sacred.
no, the Daigen 5 still gotta beat for a
Whatever.
bit. Okay.
Most viable, expensive item in the game.
So we haven't seen a really late game edition item for a long time, right?
Yeah, all we have is like Rapier, and we've had modifications to Satanic. But like you said, a lot of the improvements that Icefrog has been aiming for is for utility. This is just like, alright, throwing that out the window. Let's go for the ultra late game item.
A
Sacred
Basher
Relic.
upgrade.
Sacred Relic and Basher, total 6.75k gold, gives you plus 100 damage.
That's not that much to be honest.
Oh, screw you. Plus
For
10
six
strength.
point K go, come on, let's look over the rapier, right? But sorry,
Bash, same as Cranium Basher. Overwhelm active. Cooldown 60 seconds. Overwhelm disables the target for 2 seconds. Can be cast on magic immune
is that
units.
just a stun?
It's a stun that goes through BKB
Okay,
and has
it's a
60
shit
second
item.
cooldown.
It's a shit item.
And has a 140 cast range.
It's a shit
So
item.
it's like a Dragon Tail.
It's a Dragon Tail, and it's a shit item because guess what? It has a 60-second cooldown for 6.8k gold. You could get way better plus damage item than that. Plus 10 strength is nothing in late game. For late game item buys, you could get a butterfly for evasion. If your strength, hey, get that abysmal blade or not, whatever we just saw, Heaven's Halberd. Get whatever, get a heart, get a satanic. This is such a useless item that I don't even know. Like Basher already isn't a bad item, and now you get upgraded so you get an even shittier item. Come on. Just don't even spend.
It's the pub star's dream item, though.
No, come on. Pubstar Dream Item, get a freaking crit. Like, what is this? Who suggested this? If Icefrog suggested it, my bad. I'm sorry, bro, but this is a shit item, man.
Uh, If you wanted to upgrade Crate and Basher to do something useful, you wouldn't have to buy a 3.8k item with it. I mean, you already have enough trouble saving up 3.8k. Maybe not so much in the late game, but come on. Seriously? And 140 cast range, so you give Dragon Tail to it?
Maybe if it's a higher cast range, maybe if it's a lower cooldown.
Yeah, if
But
it was
even
like
then.
a 40-second cooldown with
But now, okay, real
400.
real fast, real fast. You're up against a magical immunity team, right? Let's talk about the good thing of it. This is only okay. This is the only thing you could buy in the game. The only thing you could buy in the game that goes through BKB. I mean, you can pick spells that goes through BKB, but this is the only thing that you could buy. Is that a factor that we should
No,
consider?
because it costs 6.8k gold. And
Okay, another
maybe you
question. Do you
disable
want to
for
get this or
longer
a
than 2
hex?
seconds, but in the late game, those targets will have enough HP which they'll survive for 2 seconds.
Well, the plus 100 damage helps, right? And the bash helps.
The bash does help.
The bash on melee heroes already go through BKB. I think that's an important thing to do. So you could cast this and then another. Yeah, it's like a 4 seconds then. No, bash is 2 seconds. My question is, would you rather get this or hex, even if you're a primary DPS machine like Nyx or whatever?
Yeah, I'd rather get Satanic, because then you'd have a second life.
There you go. These items is like, hey, do you want to get this or another items? And most of the time you say, oh, the other item. So
And finally, for new items, Tranquil Boots. Another boot. So now we have 5 boots?
I'm still waiting for Boots of Midas.
Boots of Midas. Requires Boots of Speed, Ring of Protection, Ring of Regen. So no recipe again. Costs 1k gold. So it's the cheapest boots. And it gives you the second most
The
boot
fast
speed.
moving, yeah, it's the fastest moving Boots.
Besides the Boots of Travel and,
Right, right, right.
Phase Boots when it's activated. But it gives you 3 regen, 3 armor, and rejuvenate. And this is not uh, this active is not combined with rejuvenate. This is just that something that the boots have. If you take more than 3 instances of damage greater than 20 in the past 10 seconds, the item temporarily breaks and becomes basic boots until the last 10 seconds don't have 3 instances. Same damage source rules as Blink Dagger. So, being the cheapest boots in the game, having decent stats, it comes with a drawback. And Rejuvenate restores 150 HP over 10 seconds non-combat only. Can only be casted on self.
I'm really confused about this. I don't know what to make of this.
Maybe it's for one of those really, really hardcore roaming supports who doesn't have enough gold to save for like an arcane boots. But then you can only rejuvenate yourself.
Right, it's only 150 HP. It's good. I'm not gonna lie, it's good.
I mean, it's the
It feels
cheapest
like
boots.
it's a great item for a support that
I
stays
think
on the
it's
back.
only good for like Earthshaker.
No, Earthshaker needs a mana, so why would
Right.
you?
I don't know.
Okay, again, I want to say this thing. Every item is good in their own right. Plus 80 movement speed, legit stuff. Like plus 3 armor, that's not bad. HP regen. But would you rather get this or let's say another boots?
I'd rather get another boots anytime.
Yeah, me too. I say maybe Crystal Maiden could use this pretty much because some support heroes they have no HP regen in any of their build aside from tangos and things like that, and that might help. That would be cool as an active roamer and a ganker.
Yeah, Venge maybe.
Um, maybe an invoker if you want to go crazy like this
But I
plus
mean,
wet.
come on, like, are you
You
really
you
gonna
literally
get
get
this or just save up 500 extra gold?
no, but can for a moment let's think about invoker with this item here. He's moving like the wind. Is that cool or no?
No, because it breaks when he takes damage.
Right. But if your item that stays back, or if your hero that stays back, I don't know. I say
With
phase
Invoker,
boost.
you're gonna get enough farm that you'll have 500 extra gold to get better boots.
Right, right, right. So like, maybe if some heroes just use it perfectly. I don't know.
Items are probably the most difficult thing to balance.
I feel like this is an item like 40 minutes in a game that you're Crystal Maiden and you just have boots and you want to upgrade it. This is it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like at this point, phase is not going to do anything. That plus 8 strength on Untread's not going to do anything. This actually might be a really good boot if you're behind, and you just want to upgrade it. But even so, like the rejuvenate becomes useless at that point. Like I just don't know. Like
Maybe
what
if
the hell?
it wasn't only able to cast on itself.
Right? If you can cast on your teammates, well, actually that's pretty OP because you can sustain the push with this, right?
Well, it has a 40-second cooldown.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think this is probably the most useless item. At least
No,
Abyssal
no,
Blade is
no.
fun.
Abyssal Blade is the most useless item. But
Alright, so I think now before we talk about the new heroes, we'll talk about, these are probably the items that are going to shift the metagame the hardest. So all these buffs, all these new utility items really help for a faster paced game, which is what Icefrog is clearly aiming for. I don't know if this will be too useful in Dota 1 because really only the Chinese are playing it at this point and a couple Southeast Asian teams.
yeah,
But
we might again. I think orchids or is it orchids or orchid?
Orchid,
Orchid. Might make a big splash because you could build up so quick. It's still a 5 second silence. Like you could get it on really early. We might see more Necrobook play. I don't think the Chinese ever get Necrobook aside from getting it on, let's say,
Lycan.
Lycan. Uh-huh. Yeah, maybe we see a little bit more BOT play. Like we might see something like Furion, Tinker, and what's his face? The Archmage, Keeper of
Keeper.
the Light. We see some like crazy global strats. That would be pretty cool. Um,
What do you think of the overall policy that Icefrog is taking? Basically not nerfing any of the OP heroes of this version, like Bear or Lycan, or Anti-Age for a bit, or Batrider, even though he's nerfed in Dota 2, which is dumb. What do you think of him not nerfing so much as he is buffing everything else? Do you like it? Do you really think it makes for faster games? I think to a certain point it makes faster games, but if you make them too powerful, eventually, it's gonna balance it out.
I mean, okay. I don't think buffing the individual heroes make a faster game. I think the items really, especially the game change mechanic, makes a faster game. I mean, if you compare now to let's say a year ago, like we could significantly see at least a 10 to 15 minute decrease in game time, which is great. Especially when Dota 2 is becoming more and more as the esport, you want to make it a little bit more um, watchable, I suppose, for the
Right.
live. So having a shorter game is better. I really like the choices of utility items because it feels like you don't save for those late game items now. It becomes game breaking if you ever make one of them. It should be. I think that's the way it should be. If you build a butterfly, it should give you like a beep, that kind of feeling because everyone should be getting these either Orchid or Blaze of Altos, Abyssal Blade. Like you should be getting those 4K items. And if everyone ever stays up for a late game item, it should be a game breaking item. And indeed, they are game breaking items. So it's different because in most pub games we're used to seeing, oh yeah, he has tier 4 items. Oh, I have 3 tier 4 items. Where you at, kind of thing. I think it's a good change, but it will take a little bit of time.
I
I
think
really sorry I've been talking for a long time, but back to the all these cool heroes getting buffs. Um, I feel like Ice Rock is doing his job. He's just balancing heroes. It's up to the teams themselves to actually, because if teams don't pick it, it doesn't matter what Ice Rock does.
I think if Icefrog sort of wanted to make it a bit more watchable, then getting faster paced games is one way to go about it. But having a very diverse hero pool is another way.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I think if he really wanted to do it, I think he should have nursed Crystal Main and Venge, to be quite honest. Just see more diverse support heroes. Because right now, like, why would you ever pick away from Crystal Main or Venge? Ever. Or Witch Doctor?
hmm
Like, instead of THD or
Warlock,
Silencer, Warlock.
Silencer, yeah, or Keeper of the Light.
Diverse hero pool. Of course, all these carry changes. You can experiment them, but again, you're going to pick the carries that synergize best with support heroes.
Yep,
So
Avenge and Crystal
I
Maiden.
think he should have nurtured Crystal Maiden and Venge to make a more diverse hero pool. And I know that breaks your heart because you
No, I
Crystal
agree with you.
Maiden.
They've been with us for like 4 years now, or 5 years. They've been here with us forever. So,
I think
I think that's a
all
definite
these
nerf.
are definitely going to make for a faster game, but another way to kill the scene is having the same heroes in every game, and right now, utility heroes, you're going to see Windrun in every game. I would have loved to see a Windrunner nerf. I mean, you've already been seeing Windrunner first pick in every game forever.
The question is, we buff every hero. I don't know. I feel like nerfing heroes is okay, but I don't ever want to make a hero useless. Um, I rather they are useless by concept, like an Ursa. You know what I'm saying? it's useless because he's melee or force staff owns him. I'd rather he's useless by concept but has really good stats. You know what I'm saying? You could still own a game with Ursa in a pub and be like, yeah, man, this hero's pretty cool. Um, you kind of get what I'm saying here, or
Sort of.
okay, I don't even get what I'm saying, but I agree with you. We need to nerf Venge and CM a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Witch Doctor, we've seen a resurgence in, which I really like. But now it's Crystal Main, Witch Doctor, Venge. I mean, don't you want to see more Dazzle play? Dazzle is, like, glamorous,
I do, yeah.
you know? So, I think I think Winter need the biggest nerf because she's been in every game forever. Like, you
I
can't
think
even
bad
pick around
nerf.
Windrunner because you can pick around, like, Crystal Main. Alright, she's not going to push as well. Or Venge, sorry, not going to push as well. But Winter is in literally every game.
Right.
So I would have loved to see a winner nerf.
Yep.
That's just sort of my rant on supports being boring in every single game. And that's a sign of a good support that they are in every single game. So, well balanced. But, there's 110 heroes, and when you only have 20 heroes that can be picked and manned, you're going to run into some problems. So, but overall, for a faster game, this is definitely a right step. And it's a
hmm
step in the right direction.
I hope Icefrog's listening to what you just said because I completely agree with it, and I think that's
If
a good
Icefrog
way
was
to.
what he said, he'd release Dota on Mac. Or the beta, anyway.
That's true. That's true too.
Alright, so since this is another thing, is that he released 4 new heroes and he didn't enable all of the Captain's Mode heroes. There's still no Wisp in the Captain's Mode.
Mm-hmm.
There's still
Where's Rubik?
no Phoenix or Rubik. I mean, Wisp has been actually out for like a year and a half now at this point. So I think this won't be the last version because he's going to get to a point where he's going to balance them out so every hero is in Captain's Mode.
Well, actually, I don't think so because we could operate under the assumption that no one plays Captain's Mode anymore because there's no competitive games. So they are already in AP mode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, introducing new concept, like with the items and the new heroes. I mean, I'm not a game balancer, but balancing seems to be a little less difficult than introducing entirely new game concepts and items that are automatically balanced. I mean, you can make tweaks. You can take it slow with the balance nerfs.
We'll see.
So I think there will be more versions to come, but I don't think there'll be any new stuff for Dota 1. That's just
Right.
my opinion. I think, you have to figure out a way to get Wisp in the pool, because he's been there for like 1.5 years now. Alright, but now we get to talk about the new heroes. Are you looking
I know
forward?
nothing about the new heroes.
Alright,
Nothing.
I've only played a little bit of the first hero in single player, and that's Dragoness the Sky Wrath Mage, riding the Dragonhawk Rider for 600 rage, 315 base move speed, low base armor, incredibly low stats, zero point 0.8 agility gain, 1.5 strength gain, 3.2 intelligence gain, arcane bolt, like arcane orb, but it has a base damage and then it deals 1.5 times the intelligence damage to target enemy, low
That
cooldown,
sounds really well scaling.
extremely low cooldown, extremely low mana cost, and extremely high cast range. It's basically a lucid beam cast range, but it moves slowly. And actually, it doesn't move as slowly as you might expect. Because I tested it, it's about the speed of Soul Assumption by Visage. It's the exact same projectile
That's
animation,
fast.
except in blue. So it's a little bit slower than Soul Assumption.
Are we talking about like a attack speed of Invoker? That's slow. That's pretty fast. What are you talking
It,
about here?
it's hard to say because I only played a
You're gonna
little
show it
bit.
on screen, right? So everyone knows.
Yeah. So it's basically,
Okay, no, no,
yeah,
no, that's fine. I mean, this spell you could get it like multiple copies of in the same team fight.
right.
I'm
As,
assuming.
yeah. And it gives vision. I don't know why that's necessary.
Maybe as a hero is juking away from it into the fog, you can kind of chase, give him
Right.
sight. Because I think this is going to be a very ganking tool, a very poor ganking tool.
Yeah.
You don't want a slow moving projectile to gank. Like they see it coming, they have TP comes in, you know what I'm saying. Like it's like ganking with a Gyro's rocket. It feels like.
It's going to
His
be pretty
ultimate
annoying to
seems,
lane against because it has low mana cost, low cooldown, and it deals pretty good damage.
and you can't dodge it. I
Yeah,
guess that's the great thing. Yeah.
so it's a pretty good spell. Alright,
Right.
Concussive Shot releases a compact ball of magical lightning at the closest visible hero within 1600 AoE range, so it can't be targeted on creeps at all. And upon impact, the ball bursts, slowing enemies by 40% for 4 seconds and dealing damage around the target. Up to 1600 range, and
What if you're fogged? Then you don't. Do you have to
uh,
see them?
it's the closest visible hero, so
Oh,
if they
yes.
go
Okay.
out, I don't think. It says it does not work when no heroes are in range or heroes are in fog.
Right.
So I don't know if it follows them. I guess we can test that out. Yeah.
I mean, cool spell. I don't know what to say about
Yeah,
it.
this hero
I
has a lot of
cast it
low mana
here.
cost spammable spells. I think that's where we're sort of getting the thing. And having a 40% AoE slow,
That's pretty
it's,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ancient Seal, I think this is broken.
Yeah.
Amplifies all spell damage against them and snuffs out the ability. It's a decrepify, except you don't get slowed, and you can attack, but you can't cast any spells.
Anti-mage, what's up?
Any hero, what's up? You're gonna get nuked down for 36% more damage, and you're silenced. You can't do anything about it. And as 11-second cooldown, this is like one of the most
Is
broken
this a
spells.
pickable hero?
Huh?
Is this pickable hero just based on this spell? It's a
I
decrep
think it
and
might be.
silence
It might be
together.
just in terms of ganking lineups.
But the thing, he ganks really poorly with his first spell. You know what I'm saying?
But if you just max this spell instead,
I guess, but you're not getting any damage. You know what I'm saying?
true. But
When you
I don't.
decrep, you can't attack. So it's a very awkward hero. It
Right.
feels like.
Especially his ultimate. Does
But if you combine his second and third spell, you're decrept. You're slow by the decrept. You're slow more by his second spell, and you're silenced. It's like a hell of a single target hero killer. You know what I'm saying?
right. Have you looked at his ultimate?
Apparently it does
No,
1600
1200.
damage.
My bad.
1200 damage.
600, 900, 1200 over 2 seconds to only heroes. It's distributed evenly, so if there are two heroes, it'll do 600 damage each at level 3.
So
Oh
ridiculous.
my god, that
Laguna
was an
Blade,
epic voice crack.
so, like Laguna Blade, Finger of Death.
Yeah,
But solo ganking a 1200 damage spell. Like, are you serious?
and 1200 cast range, 20-second cooldown. It has a really small AoE, as you can see from this little short clip. Ridiculous small AoE. So if two heroes are standing are like holding hands, then you're gonna get both heroes. If you're gonna get
But
one
here's the thing:
hero, then
you have to crap. You have slow,
yeah,
a 40% slow. If you miss that spell, I mean,
and its mana cost is 800.
oh come on, not a big deal.
You're not gonna cast it
No,
twice.
that's a huge deal.
You're not
That's a
gonna
huge
cast
deal.
it twice in team fights,
Yeah,
which is unless you have like OD on your team,
right.
which would be funny,
And you can't get a refresh orb with this hero.
right? But 20-second cooldown. Uh, Very awkward hero, like you said, but
Yeah.
he has the potential to do so much. But he has such low stats aside from intelligence. I
We're
guess
not gonna guess whether he's competitive viable
no.
right now because we don't simply know enough. It's just based on. Once we have a better understanding by seeing how he's played, I think that discussion could come. Or
I
do you feel like you understand the hero already enough?
no, I don't. I don't understand. Like, how is he gonna get his mana? How is he gonna lane? How is he gonna get survivability and intelligence? I don't understand at this
Yo,
point.
bro, Rod of Altos, plus 20 int, 250 HP.
Actually, it
There
would
you
be
go.
perfect for him because it slows move speed and then combine it with your slow.
There you go.
Dang. All right, next hero is the Fire Panda himself, 310 move speed. Pretty
I have
decent.
no idea. I have no idea what this hero does. So you're on your own, bro.
Uh, Basically, Searing Chains. It hits heroes and creeps. It holds them
Okay.
in place like Pounce, and it does pretty good damage per second. It has pretty low cooldown, but it's random, so you can't choose. Maybe you'll just get three creeps. Maybe I'll get three heroes, but the heroes can still attack. They can still cast spells, uh, and it doesn't go through BKB. It doesn't go through invisibility, so you can just hit three creeps, and they'll just stand there like a Slark Pounce.
Cool.
but has low cooldown and decent low mana cost. Although his intelligence is quite low and has pretty low. He has really low stat growth. It's how much is this? 5.6 overall, and he's an agility carry. Sleight of Fist, active ground target, dashes around with blazing speed, attacking all enemies in the targeted area and returns to where he was standing afterwards. So, like Phoenix's dive, if you go back and you do 50% less damage to creeps, so you can't really you spam it to farm up. You're invulnerable during this process, much like Storm Spirit Ultimate, and it takes 20 seconds to attack per unit. So basically, you go along the line, attacking everything, and then you go back. And you do plus pretty notable plus damage for every attack. So this spell is going to have the capability to be quite devastating.
Cool. Don't know what to say about it.
And low mana cost. It's a really good spell. Alright.
Okay.
Flame Guard gives you magic shell, gives you a little bit DPS, sort of like an ion shell. So it gives you a little bit of magical immunity. I mean, it lets you tank nukes a bit harder. Of course, you're going to take all the effects of it, but it's basically an anti-magic shell. If you played Warcraft 3, then
Hmm.
you'll know what I'm talking about. Fire Remnant, uh, yeah,
Just show it on the screen.
I will.
Because I read this, I was like, what?
Uh, so I think, is it passive? No,
I
you
think it's an
activate the
active.
Remnant mana
Yeah.
cost, so you charge it up every 30 seconds, and then once you release it, it goes to point to a target point very quickly, and then you can follow it in, sort of, and then you detonate the remnants. So it does. It's basically you throw a bomb at something, and then you follow the bomb very quickly, and they last very fast. I don't know. Basically, you throw it at them, you run in, and then you can use your fire spell to walk out. I guess you could synergize like that.
I have no idea what this.
Yeah. Luminous not educated on these new heroes. Alright, next one, Goblin Shredder. Strength melee hero. Very low move speed, 290. No starting armor, so his spells better be something special to make up for the lack of his stats and his armor. Whirling Death, Goblin Shredder, whirls extremely sharp edges, blah blah blah. Reduces primary attribute of any unfortunate enemy hero who comes in at 300 AoE around him. Pretty
That's OP.
significant AoE. And it cuts down, if you're targeting intelligence hero, it gets rid of their damage and their mana. Strength hero gets rid of their HP and their damage. And agility hero gets rid of some of their armor, some of their attack speed. So you basically counters a lot of heroes with this spell alone, and it deals pure damage if it cuts down trees in the process.
Anti-mage. Heyo!
That's gonna be your catchphrase from
Yep.
now on. It does 200 damage, and it reduces the attribute. So if you're targeting a strength hero, it's gonna do significant more damage because you lose that HP.
It scales late game, so.
Yeah, it's a cooldown of 8 seconds, and it lasts 7 seconds.
Damn.
Yeah, and if you hit a tree in the process, it does pure damage. It's pretty good. Timber Chain fires a chain that embeds itself in the first tree it hits, pulling you to it and cutting any enemy in your path for pure damage. Damage AoE 225. Ridiculous range, decent damage, ridiculous cooldown, pretty low mana cost. So this is going to be a strength caster. So basically, you throw it at a tree, and then you sort of grapple. You grapple along in the line. It's like skewer. You grapple, and any hero in your path will be dragged with you to the tree as well as you, and it does pure damage as well.
Are you sure it drags it to the tree?
It says, yeah. Oh, I don't think it drags them to the tree.
Okay.
That would be broken.
Because that would be OP. Blink behind and then drags them back. That's like a
Yeah,
freaking
for a
initiator.
4 second cooldown spell. But
Yeah, it
if
doesn't.
you're like in a gank path, a forest, you just go zip, and then 4 seconds later you just zip it back again and just do a
Right.
lot of damage. So he looks really annoying. Reactive armor. In every physical attack made on Rizrak increases his armor and gives him bonus HP regen. Each stack lasts for 16 seconds. Stack limit 4, 8, 12, 16. So if you attack him, he's going to get more HP, more regen. Dang.
Mm-hmm.
That's broken.
Well, the thing is, like, why would anyone attack him? Then that goes his ultimate, right?
Right. Chakram, or Chakram, whatever. Fires your main saw blade at the target location, and once there, the blade will spin, dealing damage in an area around it and slowing enemies by 5% for every 5% of health they are missing. So as they are losing more health, then they'll be slowed for additional amount, like Dirge's zombies. You know how they
Is it a
speed up.
channel?
Uh, no, it's just a cast. The blade
Okay.
deals pure damage and cuts down trees in its path when fired and retracted. You lose the ability to attack while the blade is out, so you can move around, you can cast your other spells, you can't attack.
Why would you ever attack this guy then?
I don't know. Because his other spells do ridiculous damage, and he's annoying as heck.
Okay.
Ridiculous cast range. Pass through damage 100, 140, 180. DPS 50, 75, 100. Cooldown 8 seconds. This guy spams like a madman.
Except he doesn't have the stats to do it.
Right. So you're gonna build like freaking 12 orchids, 5 arcane boots, whatever. So yeah, this hero looks broken if you get the mana pool to do everything. So if you shut him down early, he becomes useless. This hero looks really fun. The Legion Commander, pretty good stat growth, strength hero, starting armor of 3, decent move speed, 310, overwhelming odds. So the more enemies that there are in an area, uh, the more move speed that you get, and
Damage as
yeah,
well.
and it deals bonus damage to illusions and summon units. So against PL, T-Blade, stuff like that. So he's a perfect illusion counter with this spell alone. 18-second cooldown. What's with all these spammable spells?
18 is not
Oh,
spammable. I
never
mean,
mind. Right. I was like, oh, 1.8 or 8 or whatever. Can't read. Press the attack. Removes all debuffs and disables from the targeted ally. Grants them bonus attack speed and health regen for 4 seconds like a Photic Shield, except you get to buff your allies too. 15-second
yo,
cooldown.
this is a ridiculous buff spell, man. It's like,
Yeah, it lasts 4 seconds. But, if the person is stunned, you just go, what's up?
and
So,
the regen, it's a fucking 240 HP regen.
yeah, it looks ridiculous. 120 if you have like a hard carry or I don't know, it's gonna be broken.
Right.
Moment of courage. When Tresden is attacked, he has a chance to gain a moment of courage, instantly attacking again with a bonus lifesteal. Looks like Icefrog can't spell attack. Taking
Was
again with a bonus lifesteal. So if he's hit, you get a chance to double swing basically, or like a counter attack, and you get to lifesteal, and it goes up to 80% of your damage.
and it works on towers.
Right, and it's passive.
It works on towers. This is fucking legit.
Yeah, and it's a passive. It can't
Okay.
proc more than once every 0.75 seconds, and the lifesteal is not an orb effect. Duel.
Best spell in the game.
Calls the enemy targeted enemy for a duel. Both you and the enemy will be forced to attack each other, and both will be unable to use items or abilities. The victor gains 10 permanent bonus damage. Duration up to 5.5 seconds, but lasts 4 seconds at level 1. Dual bonus damage, 10 damage. So this stacks, keep in mind. 50-second cooldown, 75 mana cost. The cast range might be what kills him. He has to get right
Yeah,
up next to
100
them.
cast range. Yeah. So I don't know how you're gonna get into gas range. Maybe you need a stun. Maybe you're gonna blink into it. But it really synergizes with your other spells well.
Right, and
Um,
especially if you're like, if you just pick like a hero like an Axe's Culling Blade damage range, just say, oh, I'm gonna duel with you. Oh, I automatically win, get plus 10 damage. But you can't use it
exactly.
on creeps, and if both heroes are alive at the end of the duration, nothing
Then no
happens.
bonus. But I mean, like, it's cool, like, because your overwhelming odds will give you really, really fast. Like, it really gives you, especially when they're just with creeps. You use it, you give a lot of damage, you do a lot of damage. You get a lot of movement speed. You phase in with phase boots. You give yourself that bust with a press of the attack, get more regen, and then you duel him. And then he's trying to attack you back. You're like, yo, disrespect, son. Counter attack. Like legit. I mean, it's legit.
And this guy has pretty good stats.
I mean, he's not gonna be a competitive hero, but I feel like he's gonna be a very fun pub stomper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think Icefrog has really outdone himself in terms of creativity. It's definitely going
Yeah.
to take a while for you to learn these heroes. So, yeah, that's the new heroes. So that is the massive 6.73 changelog. We didn't go over some of the bug fixes, but stuff like that. Any closing thoughts?
I need to play some Dota because there's so much stuff in the way. Like I don't know what to learn. There's so many heroes, item choices. It's mind-boggling, but I'm really happy with this version.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the creativity. This
Yeah,
I
if
can see why this version literally took like how long did it take? Like 8 months or a
something like
year?
that. If you guys
Ridiculously
haven't
long.
watched my Dota Weekly show, like my response is there. I'm a giddy 7-year old kid. It's just like so happy that this version is released. It's just so
Yes.
fun.
Check out DBWS on Lewis's channel. And be on the lookout for more videos in the future of pubs and stuff. And then, yeah, hopefully you'll all have a happy holidays. This is bballin. Who are you?
And Luminous, sorry. I just assume everyone knows who I am, so
Nah, you're a
okay.
nobody.
Sorry.
And shout outs to everybody who's been watching this entire lengthy video. Mad props if you fast forwarded. I'll actually probably put in some timestamps
Please
so
do.
people can get through the good parts or to the parts that they want. So thank you for watching and have a fantastic night.